State of the Eagles, episode 5. Let's go.
How is everybody doing today? Welcome to another show of State of the Eagles with your boy BG31 and the Dark Knight in the building. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm great, man, on this holiday weekend, man. Like the Royal Day.
Oh, my bad. Hold on. We blocked here. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to another episode of State of the Eagles. I'm your boy BG31. The Dark Knight will be with us shortly, so don't worry for all you Facebook users out there. He is on his way. We got our boy Tone the Shields. I found him out of hiding. I brought him out here to talk some Eagles football, man. How you doing, Tone? It's been a while. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm glad you reached out to me. It's definitely been a while since I put up some content. So again, I appreciate you for reaching out, tapping in with me, always keeping that line of communication open. So I appreciate you, man. It's good to be here.
It is good, man. It's always good to talk with you. I missed you, brother. I missed you.
Likewise, my friend.
We always
Likewise.
have good conversation about these birds, man. Like in the off seasons here, mini camps been over. Now we're waiting for training camps. OTAs was there. You got to see some of these players hit the field. What was your first impressions of these guys, and how do you feel? Because I don't think I've talked to you since the draft either.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a little while. Sure. So yeah, I think about this team, from top to bottom, right? For one, you have so many position battles that are going on, especially on that defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball is kind of the boring conversations, you know what I'm saying? Unless you want to talk about maybe the right guard battle, or maybe talking about, the slot receiver battle, right? But for the most part, everything about this team, all the concerns, all the questions, all the rhetoric is really about that defensive side. How's Nakobe Dean going to fare being that Mike linebacker, right? Being the green dot guy. How is, Jalen Carter going to fit in? Is Jordan Davis going to take it up a notch? Sidney Brown, guys like that, Kelly Ringo. It's so many nuances, so many tidbits on that defensive side that a lot of people have questions about, and rightfully so. And, I think on that side of the ball, it's not really a talent issue per se. I mean, at least that's what it seems like. These guys still have yet to play 60 minutes of football in the NFL, the rookies, of course. But for the most part, when we talk about this Eagles defense, I don't think it's really about talent per se. I think we always tend to lean towards that experience conversation. And there's a lot of inexperience on that side of the ball. I mean, you have experience at key positions. Obviously, Darius Slay and Bradbury at the corner spot. You obviously have Fletcher Cox on that D-line, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. But when you get to that linebacker spot, when you get to that interior with guys like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, not that much NFL experience there. The safety room, Terrell Emmons, he has experience. In the linebacker room, Nicholas Morrow has experience, but they're not really the most highly touted guys. The most highly touted guys, or may not be the most talented. So again, it's so many questions on that defensive side of the ball, but overall, it's really exciting to see where this team is going. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I'm realistic about where they are. But I do believe that this team has everything they need to compete at an extremely high level with the best teams, no matter who it is.
Yeah, we the best, Tom. I've been preaching it. We are the best. You know how excited I get for our Birds, baby. We are the
Absolutely.
best team walking the face of the earth, and everybody better bow down this year because the Eagles are coming. You know, we didn't finish the job last year. We're about to finish it this year, and we got all the dogs ready, man. How you feel about this Georgia Bulldog explosion on the defensive side of the ball? Like, who do you think is going to be the top dog out of this draft class? You know, a lot of people want to say Jalen Carter. You know, people, also talk about Nolan Smith. You know, which one of those two guys you think going to have a bigger impact this year?
It's definitely going to be one of those guys. I think obviously the easy choice is Jalen Carter. The second easy choice is Nolan Smith. But I'm going to probably skip those guys because I feel like they're so easy to talk about. We're going to talk about those guys, obviously. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Kelee Ringo fits in on this defense as well. He's going to have to really climb that depth chart. He's going to be competing with a lot of guys like Josh Jobe, Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott, Mario Goodrich, Eli Ricks, Greedy Williams. You know, it's a lot of competition in that DB room. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Kelee Ringo fares in that situation. But, you're right, ultimately. You brought up Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. I'm really excited about Nolan Smith because he seems like the kind of player that everyone wants to play with. He has the energy. He has that magnetism. He has that charisma. You feel me? And then Jalen Carter, it's really not much to discuss with him as far as the off the field stuff. And so far, so good, right?
Right.
I believe before they left for the little break in between OTAs and training camp, Nick Sirianni basically told these guys, look, stay out of trouble, stay out the news, and stay in shape. It's just that simple. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares in that. I don't really have any concerns really about the off the field stuff because I think he couldn't have landed in the best. He couldn't have landed in a better situation when you think about the way the Eagles have established their culture. And think about the teams that passed up on him, right? As a matter of fact, perfect example. Let's think about the Chicago Bears. They passed. Why? Because they felt like, well, it's probably many reasons that you could probably mention, but for me, they passed up on that young man because not because he wasn't talented, not because he wasn't a steal of the draft at the 9 spot. They passed up on him because they don't have a culture instilled in that organization. They don't have anything concrete. They don't have any foundation on that system and that culture to the point where you can just bring in a guy like Jalen Carter and expect everything to go fine. So I actually respect the Chicago Bears for having that much of self-awareness, understanding that they don't have the culture to be able to handle or sustain a guy like Jalen Carter. And that's not to say he's just some maverick and he's hard to reel in, but it's just the reality is with a guy like that, you have to have certain foundational pieces in place for it to work the way it's supposed to and for you to get the most out of them. And when you got guys like BG, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Melada, Lane Johnson, Darius Slade, Bradbury, Jalen Hurts, obviously, Devontae Smith. When you got guys on this roster who are very, very accountable, guys who take their craft very seriously, guys who actually want to be great, guys that want to win, he couldn't have landed in a better situation. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how those guys pan out. Nolan Smith, like I said, super magnetic personality, and I think his versatility is going to be what sets him apart from a lot of the other rookies in his draft class.
Yeah, and I look at Nolan as like I think he is going to be the impact player. Just like he's out there learning, like every single interview here. This guy's energetic. He's fired up. He's like saying how he should have been drafted number 1. In the draft, he's going to prove show all the teams that he should have been drafted number 1. He told that to Howie Roseman when he was getting drafted. You want a dog on your team. He talks about being that dog. And you look at the Carter, Nolan Smith, which one played more? I think Nolan has an opportunity to play more in this defense in his first year. I'm not saying by the middle of the year Carter shouldn't be starting, but I don't think off the rip he's going to be a starter on our football team. Now, Nolan Smith will definitely, I feel like he'll have pass, rushing downs where he's going to be like on the field quite often early, as much as possible to get him on that football field, and the impact that he brings. You see him at the Von Miller camps, everybody compares him to like Von Miller and Hassan Reddick, and he's over there with Crosby, Parsons, all these big time pass rushing guys in the league, and he's out there trying to, training, learning their moves, and learning how to become a pro. When he could be out doing other things right now. He's out there learning. He knows he's gonna get back to training camp, and he's gonna have Hassan Reddick in his ear every single day. They're gonna be there back to back, training every day together. But I really feel like he can have the bigger impact because we can run a 4-4 if we need to. We can run whatever scheme we need to get the guy on the football field. And the fact that he's that talented, if they talk about his bend around the corner, they talk about freakish athletic skills, and then you turn around with the energy of a BG. Energy of a BG. He came out and said, I have, if you had to compare me to somebody, you can compare me to BG because that energy that he brings, that happy-go-lucky freaking, fun, live energy, let's get excited to play some football energy. That's where he comes in, and that's what he is. And we need another one. We need to replace BG, obviously. And he's the guy that I think he's going to be able to bring that spark to our defense. No slight to Jalen Carter, though. He's going to be a dog. But my deal, I believe, and I wanted to ask you, do you think that Jalen Carter is going to take, whose spot do you think he's going to take if he does play? Is it going to be a situation where Flex becomes a rotated guy, or do you think Jordan Davis? Because you've seen what Jordan Davis said. You've seen what Jordan Davis said. He said that he understands the expectations. What I'm saying? He's ready to meet those expectations, And a guy like Jordan Davis that we all clamored for, we're so happy he was drafted in the first round last year. What I'm saying? The guy's a freaking nature, huge specimen of a guy. And to have a red shirt year, go all the way to the Super Bowl, understand what it takes to make it to the big game. And now you're thrusted into that role of being a guy. He was a first round pick too. What I'm saying? People forget that. They act like Jordan Davis wasn't no first round pick. He's a first round pick too. He wants to play football. He wants to get out there and show his thing, and I think that really he's going to be the game changer this year in our defense. I think that Jordan Davis is about to change the whole way we look at DTs and how they can do and what they can do. Everybody wants to say, yeah, Jordan might play, but he's just going to be a run stuffer. This guy slimmed up. He looked big as hell. Look what he looks like in front of Jalen Carter. He looks like a freak. Look at those shoulders. Look how big he is. That guy's a monster. He's bigger than Flex. He's bigger than Jalen. He has the most athleticism of any DT coming out over the last couple of years, they said. So why don't people get on board and realize this guy, I think he's going to be the guy that's really putting up the numbers. I think he got the opportunity to have double-digit sacks this year just because of his athleticism. He's such a freaking nature, man. How do you feel about Jordan Davis moving this year?
Well, first, I definitely believe Jalen Carter is going to be starting ahead of Jordan Davis. I don't think
what.
I definitely believe that
over Fletcher Cox.
No. He's going to be starting ahead of Jordan Davis.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, if they're in a 4-man front, it's going to be Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox in that field first and foremost. That's what I believe. But I believe Jordan Davis. This year is going to be really important for Jordan Davis because let's be frank about this. Jordan Davis should have gave us a lot more. Should have gave Philadelphia a lot more than what he provided last year. Now, granted, the reality is he got hurt. The reality is, he was still adjusting to adjusting to that NFL level motor. He came from a situation where he rotated a lot in Georgia. So he didn't really have that deep bag of tricks. He didn't really have a high motor, but you saw how explosive he can be at the combine. Now, the only thing about that is guys can actually prepare for the combine, so they can get their best or their highest marks, so to speak. So we saw what he can be athletically at the combine, his peak, right? A guy of that size moving that quick and, having that level of speed and quickness, so on and so forth. We've seen the peak of his athleticism, but we haven't seen it translate to the field quite yet. I think that's the reality. Let's be totally frank about it. He's only played a grand total of 224 defensive snaps. That's 26% of the snaps. That's a disappointment, in my opinion, for a guy that was drafted in the top 15, a guy that was drafted 13th overall, to be exact, a guy they traded up for. I honestly believe his rookie year was a flat-out disappointment. That's just my humble opinion. because if he was living up to expectations, if he was able to stay healthy, and look, I can't charge an injury to a guy. Things happen, right? But if he was making the impact that we expected him to make, given the fact that where he was drafted at, the program he came from, everything we saw from that combine, because that's why the Eagles drafted him. Really, they didn't draft him. They drafted him obviously because he went to Georgia. You know, he was talented, but when they saw how that guy was able to move, everybody was talking about Jordan Davis. So when the Eagles had a chance to get him, they had to make sure they pulled the trigger, and I totally get it. But he has a lot of pressure on him coming in this year. They drafted a DT in the first round 2 years in a row. I think that on some level is a reflection of how they see Jordan Davis right now. And again, Jordan Davis, what he does is very different than what Jalen Carter does. Jordan Davis is a zero technique, a one technique. You know, he's going to line up over the center. You're not going to really expect Jordan Davis to become all of a sudden this 3 technique, 5 technique monster like Jalen Carter is. And that's why I think Jalen Carter is going to get more snaps than him, is going to play a higher percentage of snaps than him, is going to be the actual starter next to Fletcher Cox. Because Jalen Carter, he can stop the run. He can rush the quarterback. His bag of tricks is a lot deeper than Jordan Davis. So again, this is not me trashing Jordan Davis. This is me not trying to rip him or pull the carpet from under him. This is me acknowledging that his rookie season was underwhelming, especially given his draft status, and given the injury report and the level of condition he had. He didn't really impact as many games as we have liked him to. Now, granted, you saw moments where he was starting to come on, and the moment he started to come on, he got hurt. So his conditioning is the utmost priority. And I also think it's going to be important for him to just continue to refine his game and just add to his game. I knew when we drafted him, he wasn't somebody that you would bring in for numbers. He wasn't someone that was going to get a lot of snaps. But when you see that type of athleticism, you think to yourself, man, maybe he can develop, those pass rush moves. He has the athleticism, right? So it's all about his desire to be great. It's all about his want to. And I don't doubt that he wants to be great, but your actions have to mean more than your words in a press conference. So they say he looks good. They say he looks in better shape, so on and so forth. Okay, that's what I like to hear. But this year is huge for him. And I'm not going to pull any punches when it comes to analyzing his game. And I'm going to lean heavily on guys that study this game to try to point out things that maybe I'm not seeing. Maybe they are pointing out something. Maybe they are pointing out something that I am seeing. But this year is a big year for him, and I'm going to be combing through his game, combing through everything with a fine-tooth comb.
I feel you, and I understand what you're saying, Tony. And that's some of the stuff you're saying is the reason why I do believe he is going to be that monster this year. Some of the stuff you're saying, like you went back to college where he was one of the best defensive college football history. You know what I'm saying? With some of the best players in college football history. And he weighed 360 pounds at that time. He knew his job. He told you then, I was there to take triple teams and double teams so my dogs can eat. He knew his role then, right? Now, coming to the combine, Jalen Carter's combine was trash. Straight up, was trash.
Well, he actually at the NFL combine, I don't think he was able to perform there. You probably thinking about his pro day. His pro day was terrible.
Pro day. Yeah.
But to your point, really quickly, to your point about that, I can't put too much stock into watching a guy move around in t-shirts and shorts. You know what I mean? Like I'm just the same reason how we kind of, let's be honest about this. And I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer, but so far, we've been duped when it comes to Jordan Davis. So far.
But I don't think we have, Tone. Because like you said, this guy right here, James, when he was in the game, we were top 5 run stopping defense, Tone. Top 5.
He played 26. He played 26% of the snaps. That's little to no impact. I don't care what the numbers say when he was on the field. He barely was on it.
But look who's in front of him. And how you said you thought it was showed some signs of why we drafted 2 DTs in a row. We drafted 2 DTs in a row because we knew we weren't going to be able to play Hargrave, and we knew Fletcher Cox is on his last leg. That's why you draft 2 DTs in the first round.
But it also shows that because they could have remember they signed Kentavious Street. You can add they can add depth, right? And again, I'm all about building for the future. That's what they do anyway. So again, I'm not shocked they did it, but it is a bit of a reflection on Jordan Davis. He's a player that only played, he only played 26% of the snaps. And then on top of that,
because he was hurt though.
They went out and got. Fair enough. I'm not criticizing him for having the injuries. The injuries happen. You know what I mean? They happen. But 26% of the snaps when he was available. Man, I put it this way: when he was available, they weren't even trying to get him on the field. They even went and brought in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh because they couldn't stop the run because they were struggling.
Yeah, when he got hurt, before he got hurt, our run defense was top 5 because he was doing his job as a rookie. We didn't expect it. We already had Hargrave and we had Fletcher Cox. Those are the guys we were expecting sacks from in the beginning of the year. We expected him to go in there and do his job. He was still a big boy. Yes, we did know he had some concerns in terms of weight and whatnot coming into training camp, but I think he did his job well. You know, in the beginning when he was a rookie,
played 13 games.
It was on running down.
It wasn't like he missed. Let's be honest. Let's not be disingenuous. He played
after he got hurt.
Games.
We had Sue and Linval. He didn't need to play no more. He basically only played just to get on the field type thing. We redshirted him after that first injury. That's how he did it. He go, okay, from this on.
But here's what you got. We're
gonna redshirt him. We're gonna go get Linval Joseph. We're gonna get Ndamukong Suh.
Here's what you have to realize, though. Here's what you have to realize. These coaches. They want the most explosive. They want the most talented guys on that field at a given time. They want the guys that's making the highest impact. You mean to tell me a young, hot and ready Jordan Davis couldn't beat out an old dog like Linval Joseph?
Dog, what are you talking about?
Help me understand that, though.
Listen, Tone, what you don't realize, what I'm saying is we still had 2 starters, period. Fletch had a good season last year. Hargrave had a good season last year. Sure. He had a role to play. And he played it well until he got hurt. Once he got hurt, our run defense was trash. And then we went and got Joseph and Sue to shore that up. And they did a good job at it. These are vets. These are guys that don't have to play. They were in a rotation. And if you're saying, you know, if they were supposed to be our starters, like if Linval Joseph and Sue was our starters, he couldn't beat out one of those guys. I can understand. But he still had a Hargrave who had 11 sacks. Fletcher Cox who had 8.5 sacks. You know what I'm saying? He still had studs in front of him that were already indebted. We paid Fletcher to come back and play. Hargrave was on a contract year. We were not sitting him. You know how he does it. If you're paying him and you're in your contract year, he gonna let you play. Now he did shore up and have his back, but I think at that moment that he got hurt, we're so deep at DT, it was easy for him to make that decision and just go ahead and redshirt. We still had Milton Williams who played good. Marlon Tuilopu played great until he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? We had other DT. We didn't have to thrust him back in there. Why thrust a first-round pick back in after he got hurt when we already kind of know, you know, he's working on his weight and all that? Why not let a redshirt behind some of the best?
So Jordan Davis got hurt. He got hurt against Pittsburgh. And he got hurt against Pittsburgh in week 8. Week 9 came. Eagles got ran over by Houston. Week 10 came. They got ran over by Washington. And then week 11, that's when Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph made their debut. So it took them 2 games to realize, okay, we need to add to this run defense. We can't continue to get ran over. So
and they were letting Milton. Remember, they were letting Milton play more, and they were letting Marlon play more. But then Marlon got hurt.
So again, I completely understand why they brought those guys in, but that still doesn't deny the fact that he played 14 games. He played 14 games, right? Let's not pretend he missed half of the season. He played 14 games. And I understand him and Ndamukong Suh do different things. That's why I'm only comparing him to Linval Joseph, really. Because Jordan Davis is a nose. Fletcher Cox is a nose. And Ndamukong Suh is not a nose. The only 2 noses, well, we had 3 noses, technically. We had Jordan Davis, Marlon Tuilopu, and Linval Joseph. Best believe if Jordan Davis was living up to expectations, trust me, I'll put it to you this way. Teams don't just invest first-round picks so they can sit. That's not what they want to do. When they draft a guy in the first round, they want him to play. And a guy like Jordan Davis, and it was a high pick too. It was, I think it was pick 13, something like that. 15, 12, so one or the other. So my point is, they wanted him on the field. They want him on the field. You can't beat out
when he was on the field. He was doing his job.
You couldn't beat out Linval Joseph. You couldn't get more snaps than Linval Joseph. And now
you're talking about a multi-Pro Bowler.
Linval Joseph
is just paid. You know damn well Howie did not pay nobody and not play him. That's just not what he does. That
Limbaugh
was a business move.
Limbaugh was brought in, and I don't want to stay too much on this because we're gonna beat this. There's so much more to talk about. But also ultimately, my point is this: there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Davis this year, flat out. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care how you want to spin it. The reality is, Jordan Davis is entering year 2. The fact of the matter is, he only played 26% of the snaps in 14 games played. That's the reality. We ain't gonna talk about feelings at this moment because I want to tie it up so we can talk about so much more. So much more to discuss. But again, like I said, the facts are Jordan Davis entering year 2. He was drafted. He was a 13th overall pick. They expected more from him. They got what they got. So he's entering year 2. A lot of pressure because Fletcher Cox is getting old. This might be his last. This may be his last season in Philadelphia. And then after that, you're relying a lot on these young guys. So it's going to be so important, even Jalen Carter. It's going to be so important for Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter to become the new anchors of this defensive line. Because if things don't pan out, if Jordan Davis doesn't elevate his game, doesn't elevate his production the way everybody else expects him to, we're going to have a problem on our hands. And I don't think people understand the urgency of that, because Fletcher Cox is not going to be here, probably not next year. He probably won't. And then what are you going to do? Draft another DT in the first round? You know what I mean? Like, you see, like you have to we got to really recognize the gravity of the situation. Jordan Davis has to work. He has to pan out. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to pull any punches about it because I know
what is work to you though. What do you stand as work to you? Because you got to realize with all the pass rushers we got, if he just came in, it was a guy that just sucked up. What did that do? That won the Pro Bowl for Tampa Bay.
I don't want you to spin what I'm saying. I'm not expecting him to come in and get 10 sacks. That's not what I'm expecting.
I think he will, but
at all, that's not what he's being asked to do. So he probably won't do that. What they're asking him to do is one simple thing: play the nose and take up as many blockers as possible to create lanes for your linebackers, to create lanes for everybody else. That's what they're asking him to do because of his position, right? Now, he probably has the physical gifts to develop pass rush moves or to be a pass rusher, but he has not shown in his football history to be a pass rusher. In his entire time in Georgia, he only has about 4 or 5 sacks the whole time he was there. So he's not a sack guy. And I think that's probably why a lot of people were disappointed with him, because they didn't have the right expectations when he came in. A lot of people were expecting, because of the combine, they were expecting him to just be this athletic freak. And the reality is he still has a role to play. Despite all that athleticism that we like to see, he has a role that he has to play. And that role doesn't necessarily equate to him getting big numbers or sacks, so on and so forth. So again, a lot of people think he's going to be okay, right? But the reality is, I promise you this. I promise you, if Jordan Davis was everything that we expected him to be and more, you think Howie Roseman wanted to spend $10 million on Fletcher Cox? You think he wanted to do that? Like, he would have loved to put that money somewhere else. So, again, Jordan Davis, I think it's a lot of pressure on him. A lot of people, some people want to pretend that it's not.
Well, he said it himself. He goes, I know there's high expectations for me, but I'm ready to meet those expectations.
And I'm looking forward to
grown men when they come out and they say it publicly. You know what I'm saying? That I understand what I need to do last year. I got to be on a team and go, all the way to Super Bowl, learning from guys like Fletch, Hargrave, Limbaugh, all these top, like some of the best DTs that's played over the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are no scrubs that he's been learning over. And I just feel like in terms of the red shirt year, after Howie realized, like you said, we went 2 games and we're getting ran all over with Hargrave and Fletch. That's why he went out. Jordan Davis wasn't healed yet. That's why he went out and paid Limbaugh, Joseph, and Dominican Sue to come shore up that run. Now, after he made that decision, that's when it became a red shirt season for, Jordan Davis. I think he knew that, okay, well, Georgia's going to take a while. We're getting killed and run right now. And we can't continue to do this if we think we're going to win some football games. So let's go ahead and shore it up now. And we can redshirt them kind of like we did in Kobe Dean. We can redshirt them a year. And both of these guys can come back strong next year and be the leaders, because we are getting rid of Hargraves, And like you said, I understand how people say he does got a job. He do got to fill, take double teams and triple teams. But I'm saying that that's going to be the biggest key, is he understands his role. He's learned from some of the best, and he's gonna come and do more than what we expect. I don't think he's just gonna be that guy that's leading, helping our team be top 5 in rush defense. I think he's gonna be a guy that is gonna be in a rotation. So there's gonna be a lot of DTs rotating through, but when he's on that football field, you got to watch out for sacks too. I think that's gonna be something he adds in, because you got to realize he's the smallest he's ever been now. Then he's played football. You're talking about Georgia 360, 370. Even last year, 340. Like, he's down to 330. The boy's been in the gym. You can totally tell from the picture that he's been working his ass off. He understands it. It clicked in his head. He wants to be part of something special. He doesn't want his little brother coming from Georgia taking his spot.
That's what's going to end up happening.
He doesn't want little brother coming to take his spot.
I'm just saying.
He's going to be on the field. That's why I think Carter's going to start, but I think he's taking Fletch's job. I think Fletch is going to be the guy rotating in on that second wave. I think it's going to be Carter and Davis.
Well, yeah, they don't want Fletch. I mean, they don't want Fletch. The goal is to extend Fletch's career. That's what they're trying to do. But
that's what they did with BG. BG was rotating last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was rotating. He still got 11 sacks. That's going to help Fletch not having to be down, out in the beginning. Fletch is at the tail end of his career. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. Like, it might be the last year for him, on the Eagles. Like, you want to extend him. You're trying to win him another ring. Like, I think Howie mostly gave the respect to the guys that deserve the respect to help win the first ring, that deserve the respect because they were leader on our team. The Jason Kelsey's, the Fletcher Cox, the Brandon Grahams, like those guys. He brought those guys back for sure for another ride, because he knew that this team was going to be special and we're going to win a Super Bowl. Now, they understand their road. That's why he didn't go pay, $14 million like he did last time to Fletch. He gave him $10 million. Said, all right, I'm gonna respect you. Here's your money. But I think he also told Fletcher Cox, you're not gonna be the starting DT. You might start the season off, but as soon as Carter get ready, he's gonna be on that field. I think you need Jordan Davis on that defensive line. If he's gonna be as hungry. Now, I'm not saying that Jordan Davis could come out and bust. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, from a small period of time, yes, he did lead, but he did get hurt, and that is the biggest concern everybody had with him being so big, was where you're going to be able to stay healthy. We're going to be able to stay on that football field. We're going to be able to keep up with the snaps and in the pros, and I get that. But I do think that he understands that.
Problem. The motor is again, like he has to make this year make sense.
What do you think about the linebacker spot? What
linebacker spot is interesting.
Nakobe Dean getting a green dot.
I think he got the green dot. But first of all, the green dot's good for him. It's good. It's a confidence booster. The Eagles are showing that they trust him. But again, it's only OTAs, and they haven't really gotten too deeply into too many different work. They're mainly doing workouts, and they're not really hitting. They're not really touching each other. So, I mean, knowing that he has the green dot, it's a good sign for him personally. But it begs the question, given the state of the linebacker room, did they give it to him by default? Because he was the most equipped person at that time. So it's cool. It's a cool story for now, but he's another guy that a lot, high expectations for Nakobe Dean. Because, what we have to realize is the more we build these players up, the more we have to be honest about what we're seeing as well. So Nakobe Dean barely was able to touch grass last year. Granted, he was playing behind TJ Edwards and he was playing behind Kaiser White. Completely understand why he wasn't on the field. Makes perfect sense. Edwards and Kaiser White, they were playing some of their best football, and they had the most experience. So it made perfect sense why Nakobe Dean wasn't on the field. I know a lot of people had projected him to potentially take Kaiser White's spot at some point in the season, but that never happened. So I definitely believe there's a lot riding on Nakobe Dean. Like, this linebacker room is hinging on Nakobe Dean. This defense is really hinging on Nakobe Dean actually being that guy, because he played his best football behind. He played his best football behind Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, all those guys. He played his best football with those guys. So that's why it's so important for Davis to be successful, because if he's successful, then Nakobe Dean can be successful. Everything starts with that. Everything starts with that front. If those DTs aren't delivering the pain, it's going to make it real hard for Nakobe Dean to do his job. Because if any of those guards, if any of those tackles get to that second level, Nakobe Dean's not going to be able to tackle anybody. He's going to be doing a lot more chasing than anything. So the linebacker room, a lot of pressure on those guys: Nakobe Dean, Nicholas Morrow, Sean Bradley, Christian Ellis, somebody who I'm high on. Also, Davion Taylor, a guy who kind of just fell off the radar, and he's a head scratcher for me because I liked Davion Taylor when they drafted him. They were really banking on his athletic gifts translating, and granted, he started playing the game late, but overall, Davion Taylor kind of fell off the face of the map, and I don't really have too many high hopes for Davion Taylor right now, only because he hasn't been able to get on the field, and he was, remember, he was cut last year, and then he brought him back on the practice squad, so I honestly believe when it comes to that linebacker room, that's probably the position group that's probably the most difficult to predict. Obviously, I think Nakobe Dean is like the guaranteed person to start, and then when you pay a guy like Nicholas Morrow the bare minimum, you pay him the veteran minimum, a contract that can easily be thrown by the wayside. What you're saying is this guy is expendable, and he's essentially just fighting for a roster spot. So outside of Nakobe Dean, that linebacker room is completely up in the air, and I wouldn't be surprised if Howie Roseman went out and checked out some other guys for that linebacker spot. I mean, we know how he does business. He scours the landscape all throughout the offseason. Next thing you know, you might see him sign maybe not the biggest name linebacker, but a linebacker who's productive and that understands his role. You might see him sign a linebacker like a week or 2 weeks before the season even starts. So it's so early in this offseason still. We're only in June, midway through June, and so many more moves have to be made. I know Howie Roseman and those guys are already thinking about adding to that linebacker room, most likely even thinking about adding to that safety room as well. But I do have high expectations for Nakobe Dean.
And me, I just feel like that's kind of the position, that and safety are kind of the two positions you can kind of hold off into training camp, because like you hear all the good news about Ellis, right? You see them talk about, even Nolan Smith in 707, he got a lot more athleticism. He's out there covering Dallas Goedert, trying to knock the ball out of his hand, type situation where he can even play some off-ball linebacker if you need him to, and then the safety position too, like you said, like we got the rookie Brown, we got Blankenship, we got Edmonds too. Like I feel like those positions, when you have a dominant front, and then lockdown cornerbacks like we do got, we got the best secondary in the game. When you can have the best defensive line, the best secondary, you can have just good players, role players in the safety, in the linebacker spot. If you look at when everybody say CJG, Charlie Gardner-Johnson, he 6 interceptions, led the league, what I'm saying? But he was out for 5 games that we didn't even miss a beat. What I'm saying? Blankenship became a star. Is he really that great? Was, CJG really that great? Is Blankenship really that great? Or is it because all the talent that is around him in that front seven, these cornerbacks locking down the top receivers, the front seven stopping the run game, putting pressure on the quarterback. It gave them leeway. Was Kaiser White that great? Was, who was the other one? The other linebacker we had last year?
TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards that great. We'll see when they go to their new teams and see how good they really are, because it's like when you have that much talent and on the outsides and that D line, it kind of substitute because you don't have as much time to make those mistakes.
Wait, hold on, really quickly. Are you saying TJ Edwards and Kaiser White overrated, or like what are you saying about TJ Edwards and Kaiser White right now? Because
with the talent,
I don't want to
think about all the linebackers. Don't even stop right there. You can go back a year before that. Who was the other guy? The year before that left.
You talking about Nathan Gary? He sucked.
Not Nathan Gary, the other guy that led the team in tackles. Was Singleton.
Alex Singleton. Yeah, Alex Singleton was very limited. He was very limited.
Wilson, who was great on tackles.
No, Eric Wilson was garbage.
He was garbage on our team. That's why we cut him. I'm just saying, like, these guys were guys that were known for leading the league in tackles, on horrible defense. I'm just saying that they played with a lot of talent, and we're gonna really see how good TJ. Because I never was a big TJ Edwards fan. I didn't think this guy was a great linebacker. I thought he was.
Here's the thing:
he did a good job for what he was asked to do.
TJ Edwards, his job is
no superstar.
His job, no one's saying that, but his job, a thankless job at that. Clearly, clearly, as as we can see right now in our conversation, TJ Edwards, what he provided continuity. He provided a certain level of football IQ that made sure everybody was lined up. Him and Marcus Epps. I don't think we understand.
He did the same thing
I
Singleton did.
I don't think we understand
Did he
how
not?
valuable TJ Edwards was last year.
Did he not do the same thing Singleton did? When Singleton was our lead guy, he was a guy with 100-something tackles.
Okay. See, that's the problem right there. That's the problem. Tackles, getting a lot of tackles doesn't mean you're a good linebacker.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean? Alex Singleton had a lot of tackles, but Alex Singleton was doing a lot of chasing. You know what I mean? So when it comes to TJ Edwards is much better than Alex Singleton. Much better. Again, what TJ Edwards provides, you can't really quantify it. You can't really measure it. There's no there's no stat for what TJ Edwards does. So, I'm not saying TJ Edwards was this blue chip linebacker. I'm not saying Kaiser White was that. But we have to at least be intellectually honest about what TJ Edwards and Kaiser White provided. They provided stability at that position. Granted, we all know Howie likes to go cheap there, and it is what it is. But we have to be honest about what they provided, because it is a thankless job in Philadelphia to play linebacker. They did exactly what we expected them to do. They maximized what we thought they could do in Philadelphia. But then once you got to that Super Bowl, you saw how flawed they were, because we didn't play elite quarterbacks most of that year that could really take advantage of the middle of the field like Patrick Mahomes did very easily in that Super Bowl. So that's where a guy like Nolan Smith comes in, who I think is going to play on the edge more than anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if they drop him back and do some different, different things with him in pass coverage, so on and so forth. So they need
the same thing when Tom Brady played us with TJ Edwards and Singleton before.
Exactly. So my point is, not once do I want to imply that TJ Edwards, his strength is pass coverage, because it's not. It's actually his weakness. Kaiser White, his strength was supposed to be pass coverage, but there was times that we saw him get exploited as well. So for the past handful of years, the middle of the defense when it comes to linebacker and safety for the Philadelphia Eagles has always been questionable, subpar at best. And you notice it more when they play really, really good quarterbacks. So that's when Nakobe Dean comes in. It's going to be really interesting to see how he does in pass coverage. I'm not as believe it or not, I'm not as concerned in run I'm not as concerned with run defense as I am with pass coverage, because we need linebackers that can actually cover for a bit. The tight end position killed the Philadelphia Eagles last year. We saw it in the Super Bowl. So, but you bring up an interesting point about playing around a lot of guys that make your job easier, like Darius Slay, Bradbury, playing with guys on that line like Luigi, Maddox, so on and so forth. Maddox was in and out all year, so it's kind of hard to quantify the impact he made. But even though the team is better with him, clearly, and that's neither here nor there. But I think we need to be honest about what TJ Edwards and Kaiser White provided, because it's only but so much everybody else can do for them in their role. If TJ Edwards and Kaiser White don't do their job, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good Darius Slay is. It doesn't matter how good James Bradbury is. It doesn't matter how good Marcus Epps is or that D-line is. If TJ Edwards doesn't do his job, that Philadelphia Eagles defense does not look the way it did last year. So we need to start putting some more respect on TJ.
No, even like Mike said, these guys sat behind bad linebackers.
No. TJ Edwards sat behind bad linebackers before he got a chance. No, right. He did. Right. Exactly. So remember, TJ Edwards, he's been in the league, what, 4 years, 5 years? And he was also, what we got to keep in mind is this: TJ Edwards was undrafted. So the distance traveled for him to get his opportunity took a lot longer than everybody else. TJ Edwards was one of the best linebackers in college at that time, right? I think he finished in second when it came to the Dick Buckets for the Dick Buckets Award. But the only reason he didn't get drafted is because he had a terrible 40-yard dash time. But when you really think about TJ Edwards from a football perspective on field, he's a high impact player that does a very thankless job. So last year, like you guys brought up, Alex Singleton and Eric Wilson was in front of him. And then midway through the season, we saw that transition to TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor, and we saw how different that defense looked. So TJ Edwards is a guy who's just been sitting back, maximizing his opportunities and waiting for his chance to blow. And he did that. And him doing what he did last season got him a contract with the Chicago Bears. They didn't pay that man. They're not paying that man $6.5 million a year because he's terrible. You know, I'm not saying TJ Edwards is a top 10 linebacker. I'm not saying
And
that.
we did it for Wilson, remember?
But TJ Edwards is one of the more reliable linebackers in this NFL.
But we did it for Wilson. Remember Wilson, when Barr got hurt and Kendricks got hurt, Wilson stepped in. You know, he had all these tackles. He was 150-something tackles. He did his thing, right? And then
the Vikings defense has been.
We gave him a bag, and he was trash.
Well, we didn't give him a bag. We gave him like a 1-year deal. It wasn't a bag. I mean,
you know, we gave him some money. And he didn't do nothing for our football team.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I think
he got benched fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you got to remember, it was a new coaching staff. So this new coaching staff doesn't really have the best TJ Edwards knowledge. You know what I mean? Like when we brought in Eric Wilson and we had Alex Singleton starting, they weren't familiar with TJ Edwards. You get what I'm saying? So they had to see it in live game action to realize, okay, Alex Singleton and Eric Wilson are not cutting it. They had to see it in real time. So again, like a guy like TJ Edwards, I don't want to harp too much on his story, but I just think that I don't want you to get froggy because TJ Edwards isn't here anymore. Like he played a huge role in his team.
But how you went to the whole TJ Edwards like Buckets Award winner, like finalist or whatever. What about Nakobe Dean? Nakobe Dean was one of the best linebackers to play the game, and one of the best defenses to play the game. You know, the number one blitz linebacker out there, and like he sat too last year, and he's hungry to get out there and show the league that he's that man. But he comes from a more prestigious school. He's had more accolades coming out of college. So what to make you think that he can't just step in and at least do the bare minimum is what TJ Edwards did?
Well, I'm not saying he can't. I don't want you to get me confused. I didn't say that. I didn't say he can't. What I said was there's a lot of pressure on him, and also he's a smaller player. 225 pounds, 6 feet. TJ Edwards 242 pounds, like 6'1", 6'2". So TJ Edwards is a bigger body. Okay. So Nakobe Dean is a smart player. That's what we keep hearing about him, right? He's a smart player. That's what we keep hearing. That needs to translate to the field. Nakobe Dean, he can be as talented as he wants, but because of his size, it's going to be important for the DTs to help him and help him do his job. I mean, that's just where the NFL is going anyway. Most of these linebackers aren't that big anymore anyway.
Yeah.
So
there's no trotters out there no more.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, these days you're seeing a lot of safeties turn linebacker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So a guy like Nakobe Dean, I don't doubt that he can be successful, but he has to show it. And the bottom line is he's going to get his opportunity. That's the thing. He's going to get the opportunity. And we're going to find out really quickly if he can do the job or if he can't. I'm one to believe that he can't. I was high on Nakobe Dean before we drafted him. I was high on him after we drafted him, and I'm still high on him now. Granted, I was a Devin Lloyd guy, full transparency in that draft class. I was
Devin Lloyd, yeah.
I was a Devin Lloyd guy. I think
we all have our favorites. I
was a Devin Lloyd guy, and
I love Smitty, but I was a freaking Waddle fan.
Yeah,
but I love Smitty to death.
For sure, definitely.
But how do you think though? I think a big part that people don't really realize or talk about too much is just the whole impact of, you're talking about back-to-back national champions. You're talking about the best college defense. You got 5 players from the same crowd. Like, do you think that energy, that connection can raise their play even higher than any of us expect?
Well, it provides a certain level of accountability, if you ask me. It provides a certain comfortability as well. When you're transitioning from college to the league, you're trying to figure out where you fit in. You're trying to figure out the guys you want to look up to. You're trying to figure out how to take care of your body. And when you just happen to get drafted to a team where all your homies got drafted to, one of 2 things can happen. y'all can either A, hold each other accountable, or B, y'all can be too comfortable and think that y'all got it made because all y'all are over there. So one or two things can happen. I like to think A can happen. The fact that they're going to hold each other accountable. And also you got a healthy blend of talent and leadership in that Georgia Bulldog group that the Eagles have drafted. Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith are clearly at the forefront when it comes to leadership. And it's so interesting how Nolan speaks so highly of Nakobe. So I think those guys are going to lean heavily on Nolan and Nakobe to be like that big brother or that anchor, so to speak. You know what I mean? I honestly think this team, again, they have talent. They have the talent, but can it pan out? Just because you draft guys from a winning program doesn't mean that they become winning players in the NFL. It doesn't automatically translate. So it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out, though. Like I said, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. Still got Kalen Ringo. You got DeAndre Swift, who is a Georgia Bulldog. He was a Georgia Bulldog, but we got him via trade. So, yeah, man. Look, it's a fun story. Again, it's a fun story. It's cool to talk about, but it has to translate to the field. That's the bottom line.
All right, 2 questions for you then. 1, which class, 02 Dean and Jordan, or 03 Davis, Nolan, Ringo, will have the biggest impact in 23 for this Eagles defense? And 2, which school, since you brought the school part up, Alabama or Georgia, is more important to this football team? Alabama to Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson. You know what I'm saying? I think Ellis even played for Alabama too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to look at the offensive boys from Alabama or the defensive boys from Georgia would be the second part of that question.
All right. So the first part of your question, which draft class is going to have a higher impact, 22 or 23? Basically, Dean and Davis versus Smith, Carter, Ringo. I honestly believe that the draft class is going to have the highest impact is going to be this year's 23. Smith and Carter. I just believe Carter and Smith are just more talented than Dean and Davis. That's my honest opinion. We all know Carter. A lot of people pegged him as being the number 1 player in the draft. Right? Some people had Bijan Robinson. Some people had Will Anderson. So it was pretty much take your pick. But for the most part, Jalen Carter was. If he didn't get in trouble, Jalen Carter could have easily went number 1, number 2 somewhere. So when you think about it from that perspective, the Eagles got him for a steal at number 9. And he's in a great situation with Fletcher Cox, guys like that to learn from. Then Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, and BG, and Josh Sweat, man, I think he's going to benefit so much from being next to guys like that, man. Like I said, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. It's going to be really BG. Nolan Smith, I think, as a matter of fact, I think Nolan Smith could potentially he's going to be rotating a lot, but out of all the Georgia guys, there's a chance Nolan Smith can lead them in sacks.
Yeah.
There's a strong chance he can do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and then to the second part of your question, which school group is basically more important, right? The Georgia guys or the Alabama guys. It's so funny. The Alabama guys are mainly on offense, and the Georgia guys are mainly on defense. So it's really interesting. Are we really considering? Well, really quickly, are we considering Jalen an Alabama guy or Oklahoma guy?
Jalen's an Alabama guy. We're gonna put him on the Alabama side for the sake of the argument.
Okay, for the sake of the argument.
Steen, Jalen, Devontae,
Dickerson. Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, Landon Dickerson.
Okay.
Is there any more Alabama guys?
On the offensive side, I think that's
that's it. Right.
But
because on defense, the Ellis guys from Alabama, I believe.
Right. Because of the court, and to your point about for the sake of argument, let's make Jalen Hurts a Bama guy. For the sake of argument, You got to go to Alabama guys are more vital because of for one thing only, the quarterback position. That's it. Otherwise, I would say the Georgia Bulldog group is extremely important because they're both important, but because of the quarterback position, I probably got to put the Alabama group first, strictly that. But when you think about the Georgia Bulldog guys and them on them basically mainly being on defense, it's this year and so especially with the schedule being as hard as it is, it's so important. It's so important for this defense to pan out because you're banking a lot on these young guys from Georgia. You're banking on that winning mentality, that level of accountability, that level of competitive juices. You're banking on that translating to your football team. And this Eagles defense right now has more questions than answers. So maybe there's more pressure on the Georgia side, but I think the Bama side, as of right now, may hold more value strictly because of that quarterback position.
Yeah, well, but what if you took Jalen Howe and you just went Landon, Steen, and Devontae? Because you look at Ringo, he's not even guaranteed to play that much this year.
Right,
you know what
right.
I'm saying? Like, so if you want to go,
in my thought process, I wasn't even thinking about Ringo. I actually Ringo is a guy that I'm not looking for him to do too much this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next
he's
year
a future pick.
Yeah. Next year is going to be really interesting because I don't think Darius Slay's going to be here next year, but that's just another conversation.
Ooh, hot topic from Darius Slay gone this year.
But yeah, then I would have to go Georgia because so much of this team's success is wrapped up in those Georgia Bulldogs panning out.
That is true. Because there's so many of them that should be playing vital roles. You know what I'm saying? There's so many of them that are out there, and we're expecting them to play at levels of people like Hargrave. Who else we lost? TJ Edwards, like you said. All these starting defensive players that are gone. We're expecting these guys to come in and fill those shoes, and not just fill them just to be like competent, but we actually, some of us even have higher expectations for these guys because they're scouted and they're talented to be higher, better prospects than these guys, coming out. So I get what you're saying with that, and like I am on the side of Alabama because you take away Jalen Hurts, I don't care what defense we got. You know what I'm saying? You don't have no quarterback, you ain't doing nothing.
Exactly.
That's just point blank, period. No quarterbacks, you're not doing nothing. You can actually, take away some of them Georgia Bulldogs and put some people in, that can actually have a good defense enough. What up, my guy? He made it.
What's up, guys?
How we feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I've been listening to you guys on the way home, trying to jump on here and jump in this conversation with you. Good analysis.
Sure, man. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you, Tony. What have I missed? I heard you talk about Nakobe Dean. Is that still on the table?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a few extra minutes. So yeah, no, why not?
Yeah, I love Nakobe Dean. I hope that, but I heard you say that you like Devin, the other linebacker too.
Oh yeah, I liked him. Yeah, it's just like he's one of those guys that I had high expectations for, and then I've gotten to a point. You're talking about Davion Taylor, right?
Yeah, no, not Davion.
Yeah.
The other Devin Lloyd. What's that his name?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, last year around draft time, I was a Devin Lloyd guy. I wanted him in the first round. Like, matter of fact, me and BG talked about that last offseason. Me and him like, yo, if we can get Devin Lloyd, and we was campaigning for Devin Lloyd last year.
Devin Lloyd, Christian Harris. I was really big on Christian Harris.
Yeah, you were big on Christian. Yo,
I wanted Christian Harris bad.
Where's Christian Harris actually right now?
He's in Texans.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna be good too. They got Christian Harris and who else coming this year? That receiver, Mechie. He was hurt last year. He's coming back this year too.
I'm excited to watch some AFC. This might not be a sexy talk. It's a sexy conversation, but I'm looking forward to watching some AFC South football games. I'm looking forward to it.
The league good, James?
I'd see my man James out there. I'm sorry, but I'm I'm okay with Nakobe Dean for especially where we got him. I think that was a great pick for where we got him. And we saw in limited play last year that when he had extended snaps. I think it was against Who did we play? Was it Tennessee?
It was Tennessee. Yeah, that's where he got most
of
his snaps.
Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure.
He performed very well. That gave me at least some optimism that going into this year that he may be ready to handle it. But I agree. I heard earlier when you stated that he couldn't get on the field last year, and that probably was good for him to sit a year, the red shirt year. I call it like a red shirt year. He got to sit behind and watch some pretty decent, veteran linebackers. I heard you guys talk about TJ Edwards. I think TJ Edwards is a tackling machine. I agree that his strength is not pass coverage, but he tackles everything in front of him, and he's a sure tackler, and he did his job tremendously last year. Kazir White was supposed to be the pass coverage linebacker, didn't live up to what I thought that they would herald him as, and I don't think he lived up to that. But he provided good play for us last year,
right?
But in this,
he was steady.
Yeah, he was steady. And this year, I think that is the only group on the defense that I probably have the biggest question marks about is the linebacking crew. But I do feel good about Nakobe Dean wearing the green dot. I think that shows that they have a lot of confidence in him, but it could also show that he's worthy of it also. Like he might have earned that. He might have, and then I don't know a lot about this defense coordinator. We're going to find out a lot about him this year coming up.
I think, but to your point, I think Dean, because they haven't really had that much grass time, right? So OTAs, they try to wrap those guys in bubble wrap, But I definitely think Dean earned that green dot in the classroom. I think he earned that there more so than on the grass.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that one. Now,
so I'm looking forward to seeing the linebacker crew.
Definitely.
But I want to ask you too, Tone.
Yeah.
You hear about people talk about Hurts, and I'm the number one Hurts fan out there. I am with Hurts, right? What do you think?
I'm gonna try to stay disciplined. I'm gonna try to stay as disciplined as possible with whatever you ask me, because
I'm gonna say some outlandish stuff about Hurts. You already know that. Like he's better than Patty Mahomes. He's the number one quarterback in the league. Yes. Okay. But Tone, you're my guy. What is the next step for Jalen Hurts to you?
Say that one more time.
What is the next step? Because you hear people talking about the next step. I want to see him take the next step. You're talking about a guy.
You say that. It's so funny you say that, because, in my notes, I have written down exactly what exactly is the next step for Jalen Hurts. Because people talk about it, like you said. People talk about what's the next step. What does he have to do next, right? Is it him throwing for 4,000 yards and 35 passing TDs? Is it him improving his accuracy or his efficiency? Is it him winning the Super Bowl, or is it him having less rush attempts? There's so many ways you can really go about it, and when it comes to him taking the next step. But I think when it comes to Jalen Hurts, I think for me at least, I would love to see the rushing numbers go down a bit, because in 2021, he had 139 attempts with about 780 plus yards, 789 yards rushing. And then in 2022, he had 165 attempts with about 740, 750 rushing yards, I think, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So overall, my point is, as he continues to develop and refine himself as a passer, I think he needs to dial back the amount of rushing attempts, or at least pick his spots where he's taking less punishment. You know what I mean? I don't want to change who he is. I love who Jalen Hurts is as a player. I love the way he plays the game. I love his tenacity. I love his grit. I love how no matter what game he's in, you feel like you're still in the game. He has this certain gene, this certain aura about him where you feel like as long as he's playing, as long as he's healthy, you can win pretty much any game, because he just makes plays. He doesn't give up on the play, but also he knows when to throw the ball out of bounds. You know what I mean? I feel like that was one of the biggest steps he took in this year, right? He knew when to give up on the play. He knew when the play was dead, and he also knew when he was able to make a play. He also got significantly better with throwing the ball running to his left. He had a couple throws in that Super Bowl where he was running to his left and he delivered it, he delivered the ball in the keyhole. You know what I mean? So, and also I think he had a moment in that Arizona Cardinals game where he was running to his left, had a beautiful throw. I think it was to Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert, something like that. So I think that was the biggest change from 2021 to 2022. He really improved throwing on the run, running to his left specifically. I think going into this season, I would love to see him improve with his running efficiency. And I also would love to see him improve in how he responds to the blitz. In my humble opinion, I believe there were moments where I felt like he could have handled the blitz a lot better in certain situations. And you saw teams really trying to, get him out of the pocket and force him to become a decision maker outside of the pocket and try to eliminate his options. So I think Jalen Hurts definitely has to take the next step when it comes to reading blitzes and also responding to the blitz. And again, if Jalen Hurts can string together seasons of what he did in 2022 and just continue just to refine that passing game, because his game, who he is, isn't going to change but so much. So what he needs to do is just refine it, just chisel it. You know what I mean? Not blow it up, not blow up his game. He needs to just chisel it, refine it, tweak it here, tweak it there. Jalen Hurts is on an elite trajectory, but I wouldn't call Jalen Hurts an elite quarterback right now.
He was the number one pocket quarterback in the league last year. He had the fewest turnovers.
I get that.
Than another quarterback. He was the number one for big plays in the league last year in terms of passing the ball down the field. He had more yards after the catch, yards in the air than Patty Mahomes did last year. He was number 2 in the MVP voting. He was number 2, a second team All-Pro. Like, to me, the next step is you're the GOAT.
Well, like you said,
the other guys you want to compare to, they don't do none of the stuff he does running, like none of it.
Well,
like, they're not even close.
Here's the thing, I'm not comparing. Well, if you notice, I'm not comparing, play style. I'm talking strictly about Jalen Hurts. I'm not even comparing him to anybody else right now because I understand his game is different than everybody else's. And I'm not one of those guys where I feel like if you don't throw for 4,000, 5,000 yards every season, you're not elite. I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. To me, elite goes beyond just what you're saying, right? You brought up a lot of good numbers, a lot of quality numbers at that, after only 1 year of playing at this level. So for me, elite isn't just showing me what you can do in a moment. Being elite is showing me what you can do over an extended period of time. And I personally believe. See, a lot of people want to believe, oh, Jalen Hurts has arrived. I actually think he can get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the point I'm trying to make to people. I don't want people to settle for what they're seeing from this young man. You know what I mean? I don't want people to think this is him ahead. I don't want people to believe that this is him at his elite level. No, I believe he's just scratching the surface of it. So maybe that's me just having high expectations because I know he has it. But elite to me is consistently doing your job at the highest level and having it bear fruit or yield positive results. So, perfect example, right? Even though this player that I'm about to mention has a Super Bowl, I don't consider him elite because because even though he probably put up a lot of yards, he wasn't consistently bearing fruit with that type of productivity. Matthew Stafford, he played from behind a lot in Detroit. And granted, it's Detroit. But the bottom line is I can't consider Matthew Stafford an elite quarterback because he has never been, in my opinion, consistently doing his job at the highest level and having it yield positive results. Jalen Hurts last year in 2022, for one season, he did his job at a high level and it bared fruit and it yielded positive results. For me to call him an elite passer, for me to call him an elite quarterback, he needs to do it on a consistent basis, and it needs to bear positive fruit. It needs to bear fruit. It needs to yield positive results. So, did Jalen Hurts have an elite year? In my opinion, absolutely. 22 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns, nearly 4,000 yards of total offense. You know what I mean? 66% completion percentage. Made it to the Super Bowl.
14-1.
14-1 in the season. I believe Jalen Hurts had an elite year, but do I believe am I ready to commit and say that he's an elite quarterback in his NFL? Not just yet. I need to see what he does with this schedule this year especially with the defense actually being less than what it was. So again, this is not me saying Jalen Hurts is trash. This is not me saying
where you put him at,
he's not
Tom?
gonna,
Where you put him at? Where you put him in? Is he top 10?
You mean
top
as
5?
Far as ranking?
Going into this year, where you put him?
So I believe, and also to be direct, I believe there's only one. I believe there's only one truly elite quarterback in this NFL, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
But even Mahomes, he came out that first year he didn't do nothing as a rookie. The second year was the year he started, and the second year is when he had 50 touchdowns. But if you look after that, the next 3 years, his stats dipped a lot compared to that first year. And then he came back, last couple of years and started doing it big. But everybody considered him GOAT from the first.
What's a dip? Okay, like BG, what's a dip though? Like, where do we we're talking about Patrick Mahomes? What's a
I'm
dip?
saying he went from 50 touchdowns to like
35?
35 touchdowns.
You realize how hard it is to throw 35 touchdowns in a season, right?
All right, everybody to their damn corners.
But I'm saying, you see the trajectory. He went up and then he went kind of down, and he was like stand up, and his down was still good. But I'm saying Jalen from year one. Jalen from year one.
Everybody to their corners. Everybody to their corners. BG is we're like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears here. All right, you guys. The DG is way hard. I mean, way on one side. And Tone is way the other side. I'm going to be the one where the porridge is just right. I do agree that I don't know. I do agree that there is room for Jalen to improve. I do agree there, but I'm more sold on him being elite than not. Do I want to see him do more this year? Yeah, I do want to see him do more. I can't take away anything that he did last year. That was elite elite football quarterback play by our quarterback. Sure, and I don't see him regressing at all. I don't see him regressing. Like you said it, like we haven't even seen his ceiling, and I don't think his ceiling is in sight yet. So I'm not going to put him over Patty Mahomes, though. I'm not going that far.
That's what I'm saying.
BG.
BG is ready to do that.
I just can't.
All I try to do is
I can't do that.
Night. All I try to do is just bring BG down to earth a little bit. Like that's all
I understand. You can't do that though. BG,
because he's not Jalen Hurts.
He knew Jalen Hurts was going to be a superstar when he came out of the womb. That's how far back BG goes with Jalen Hurts. So you're not going to convince him otherwise. But I do think that there's room for him to improve. And
absolutely.
And you said it. And you said the areas that they are. And I think that he can do that.
Yeah,
I think he will do that, as a matter of fact. And you're right. The judgment on an elite quarterback is over a period of time. I'll give you that.
Right.
You can't put him in the Hall of Fame after 1 year. You just can't do that.
Like I don't consider
you can't put him over a quarterback. I hate to say this. I know Patty Mahomes just whipped our butts, but you can't put him over a quarterback that has 2 Super Bowls on their resume and two MVPs. Am I correct on the 2 MVPs?
Yeah.
But Patty did it with the greatest coach of all time. Jalen's done it with a first-year coach. He's gotten better with some nobody coaches that he just
wait. So now Nick Sirianni is a nobody? BG. Now Nick Sirianni is a nobody?
Is he better? Is Nick Sirianni better than Andy Reid?
No,
is he better than Andy Reid? Let's talk about it.
I didn't say that.
Let's talk about it. Is he even close?
He's not better than Andy Reid.
Same pedestal of Andy Reid.
No, he's not better than that.
No, it's no question. Like that's an
advantage.
No, absolutely. No one's denying that. But we have to operate.
Jalen did it with less.
Hold on, wait. Less
more than Patty Mahomes.
Less what?
No one worries about Patty Mahomes running the football, for one. And I know he's a quarterback, you're supposed to pass it, but no one's worried about it. Jalen controls the running and the passing for our team. And he does both at a very high level that no other quarterback does. Jalen has his own records that no one has ever done. Jalen has already in his second year starting. He already
not denying that. You can't deny it.
That makes him better than any other quarterback to do it.
No, you got to do it.
I want my quarterback to break passing records.
You can't come in, BG. I'm a Eagles fan, and you can't come in.
That's my thing. I don't want him to. I don't want see this. I want to make that real clear too. Like I'm not one of those people where
I want to see him run past. He has passed.
No, but what I'm saying is that when you bring up, he has these records. Well, most of his records are running related. So like again, when we had this conversation, I always got to preface what I'm saying because I don't want people to think I'm all of a sudden down on Jalen. I'm not. I know Jalen Hurts I know Jalen Hurts. His ceiling, in my opinion, I have no idea what it looks like yet. But in no way, shape, or form am I going to say here with a straight face that he's better than Patrick Mahomes.
But we know Patty's ceiling. We know Burrow's ceiling. We know Allen's ceiling. We know
actually, hold on, slow down. Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts are part of the same draft class. We don't know Joe Burrow's ceiling.
We know Joe Burrow. Sure. Joe Burrow's going to throw 4,000 yards a season. You know what I'm saying? To Chase. That's all he's going to be good for. To throwing some touchdowns. That's it. I mean, that's one area of the quarterback spot that we know about these guys. Those guys are elite because they consider they're gunslingers. They turn over the ball more than Jalen. Like,
no, they throw the ball more.
It's just hold on. You
got to be intellectually honest. They throw the ball more. So therefore, with more attempts comes more risk. You get what I'm saying? Jalen threw how many interceptions in 2022? He threw 9, right?
Last year?
He threw 9, right?
No.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't have 6 interceptions.
I think he threw between
and 5 fumbles.
Let me double check. But my point is though, they throw the ball more. So when you think about it from that, okay, Jalen had a grand total of in 2022. I had 2020 years mixed up. In 2021, he threw 9 interceptions. In 2022, he threw 6. So
yeah, 6.
He threw 6 interceptions on 460 passing attempts, right?
That's
so
good.
Okay, let me just pull up Joe Burrow randomly. Let me pull up Joe Burrow stats real quick. Okay, Joe Burrow, he threw the ball 606 times.
What's up?
And threw 12 interceptions. So when you think about the ratios and the average, that's kind of what you expect. You know what I mean? The more you throw the ball, the more you're going to have interceptions. You know, so I mean,
but the caveat to that is, Tone, they have to throw the ball more for their offense to be successful. We don't have to. I think Jalen could throw the ball 60 times a game if he wanted to be proficient at it. Jalen's never been a turnover machine his whole career. Like, you can't go 1 year where you're just some big turnover.
You can't just assume that if he throws the ball more, he's going to have the same amount of interceptions that he would if he threw the ball less.
Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert.
Okay,
that's elite talent. That's why you're assuming those guys didn't take their jump until they got elite talent. And he got 2 of the best in the league, 2 top 10 receivers and a top 10 tight end. You can't tell me we threw the ball more. There was games last year where we threw the ball a lot, and he showed that he can put up big numbers.
We're talking.
We're talking about in
the grand scheme of a season, BG. Your fan, at some point, your fandom can't have you this blind. The reality is,
keeps you balanced. That's what makes us so dangerous. Let me ask you, balance. He can do it, but do we need him to do it? No, because we have one of the best.
You got to stay focused on what we're talking about. Okay, like what you do whenever we have a Jalen Hurts conversation, you like to talk about everything. And
that's what he is.
When you're asking me a singular question, like when I try to answer your question, you like to talk about everything else to try to fuzz up your question. And the reality is, the more you do so, okay, perfect example. If I leave my house today and I only drive once, the odds of me getting into a car accident aren't that high, right? I mean, if I only drive once, if my house I drove once the store came back, I went on one drive today. The odds of me getting into a car accident are slim. I only drove once. But if I drove a lot, more than once in that day, if I drove 15 times in one day compared to just one time, are the odds of me getting into a car accident higher or lower?
To me, that's not the same thing.
It is the exact same thing.
Because Patty can't win football games if you only throw the ball 20, 30 times a game. That's different.
When you throw the ball,
if you have these guys doing that low number passing, they're not winning football games.
You're putting it at risk. The bottom line is running the ball and throwing the ball has 2 different risk factors. There's more risk in throwing a ball.
Yeah.
So when you put it from that perspective, with Jalen only throwing, first of all, on how many attempts is that? Let me double check.
All right, while you double check, let me just ask the people out there. You guys, let me know if you think that this Jalen Hurts. Do you agree with BG or do you agree with Tone? Is Jalen Hurts better than Patty Mahomes already? I mean, at this point,
you guys agree? How many games?
Well, I don't think that's a debate. I don't think that's the healthiest debate because that's not intellectually honest.
But Tone, think about it. How many games would Patty Mahomes win throwing the ball 20 times a game? How many games?
Say it again.
Not very many. because he has to throw the ball. Jalen can win a game throwing 10.
What's your point, though?
I'm saying he's more dangerous. He's more of a weapon. He's more a better football player overall being a quarterback than Patty Mahomes.
Do you guys agree out there? Please give me a vote. I want to know. Tracy, do you agree with BG?
I'm willing to give you that.
BG Joseph?
I'm willing to give you that. He's more versatile, but
that's what makes him so dangerous. There's not another Jalen Hurts out there.
I would. That's fine. That's cool to talk about. That's fine, right? Again, I'm not comparing their play styles. That's you doing that. The reality is,
I'm just saying, like, people like to go just to passing side when they talk about who's the best quarterback.
Because they're all right. Look. The reality is they're quarterbacks, not running backs. Okay, they're quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks the lead. All the quarterback means you're the leader of the offense.
So I expect my quarterback to do more passing than running. So see now you're going to turn this into a conversation where it sounds like I'm disrespecting his running ability, because I'm not.
You are.
But if we're going to do it, if we're going to have a conversation, let's have that conversation. Jalen Hurts, not a better passer than Patrick Mahomes. It's the reality.
Why not? He has more yards in there. He has more explosive plays, and he has less turnovers. All the key stats of passing, he is better than Patty Mahomes.
He throws the ball less.
Where is Patty Mahomes better? Yards. That's it. Can he throw the ball more? All the other key stats inside the pocket. Who's number one, Tom? Who's number one? It's not Patty Mahomes number one in the pocket.
Hey, Dark Knight, you did the right thing. Let's ask the chat, right? Because I feel like we're debating the interception factor. I think that's what we're really talking about, the interception.
Not just the interception. Look, number one, Tom.
Well, I'll say this.
Pocket, the purest inside the pocket. Jalen Hurts, number one, 72.5. Passing rate, 111. Number one. Number two, touchdown to interception ratio. That's our quarterback, Jalen Hurts, inside the pocket. So that's why everybody's like, oh, his passing. He is still the most accurate. He's number one in deep ball throws.
He's very efficient for sure.
Yeah, he's number one in deep ball throws. He's number one in explosive plays and passing. So what are you talking about his passing for when he's number one in all those categories?
Numbers don't tell the whole story, BG.
And this is what I'll say.
But numbers don't tell
the whole story ever.
But it doesn't tell the story for Jalen.
And no, it doesn't matter who we're talking about. We could be talking about Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott.
But that's why we think Patty's to go.
Numbers don't tell the whole
40, 50 touchdowns, and he throws the ball 600 times a year. So we make him the GOAT.
All right. Let me make this real clear to you. If Jalen Hurts threw the ball the same amount of times as Joe Burrow, he probably would have a similar amount of interceptions.
No.
How many more times did Joe Burrow throw the ball? What was the
Jalen Hurts ended the season with 460 pass attempts. 460 pass attempts, right? Pass attempts. Keep that number in your head. 460 attempts.
Right.
Joe Burrow has 606 attempts. As a matter of fact, I put in perspective. Jalen had 460 attempts. Burrow had 414 completions.
Oh, dear. Well, that's not a lot more attempts. But Jalen to throw six more interceptions, just 100 and something more attempts, I don't think that would have happened. He only threw six in 460 attempts. I don't think he's throwing another six additional 100 and something attempts.
Yeah.
That math doesn't add up.
It's not that many more.
But I will say this about Jalen Hurts. I would say this about Jalen Hurts. And football current.
How doesn't the math add up? Because
I think if you broke it down, the rate, he only threw the ball like 100 more times, and then 100 and something more attempts. I don't think
he threw the ball about 150 more times.
So 150 more times. He only threw six in 460 attempts.
Yeah,
and you're assuming that he's going to throw six more. If he throws 150,
y'all said six more. I didn't say six. Y'all said six.
You said that.
I said if he threw the same. I said if he threw the same amount of attempts as Joe Burrow, y'all don't think he would have a similar amount of interceptions?
No,
that because you said he threw 12, so to have a similar amount.
So what do you think? Like 10?
I would think he would have more.
Let me ask you because my bottom line is more. I don't care. My bottom line is if you throw the ball more, my main point to BG that he doesn't want to accept.
I give you that.
When you throw the ball more, you have more interceptions. It's that simple.
Right.
It's very
You
simple.
don't necessarily have more if you're not a guy that throws interceptions.
Okay,
he's a smart thrower. He wouldn't be number one inside the pocket. You wouldn't be number one at big deep balls if you were stupid with the football. Because a lot of those would have been picks. Those deep balls would have been picks. A lot of the incompletions would have been interceptions.
To your point, Aaron Rodgers is somebody who throws the ball a lot but doesn't have a lot of interceptions. But that's an uncanny characteristic to have. So I'm not what you're implying is that what I'm saying is Jalen Hurts is all of a sudden going to become less efficient if he throws the ball more. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm simply saying is when you throw the ball more, you naturally have more interceptions. You're naturally taking more risk.
All right, I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying. BG doesn't want to accept that fact.
Though. Well, I accept it, but I'm saying that I don't think that would happen. Back to my point, even Dark Knight's point, like I don't think that if he threw the ball 100 more times, he's going to have that many more interceptions. He's more efficient. He throws the ball away. He slides. He can run when he doesn't have to. He don't have like those guys don't have the weapons that Jalen have. Like in terms of on the outside for one, and for two, they don't have the weapons of his legs where Jalen doesn't have to force anything. If it's open, he's throwing the ball. If it's not open, he's running the ball. That's a luxury that those guys do not have. That's why they have to throw the ball. That's why they end up with more turnovers because they have to force things. Jalen doesn't force anything. He hasn't had to.
That's
fine.
Force
balls.
I'm not here to compare styles. I'm
just saying that style would prevent him if he did throw 100 more balls, prevent him from having that many more interceptions.
And that's fine. I like Jalen Hurts' play style. Like don't get it twisted. I like his play style, and I don't want Jalen Hurts to be anybody else but Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm just saying there has to come a point where we actually start recognizing these things about him and put him ahead of people. Like I'm not saying career-wise is he at the best career. I'm saying going into 2023, I think he's the best quarterback.
He's not. He's not.
I don't think that. But I will say this about the quarterback position: the current modern-day quarterback position in the NFL is more. It's going towards the Jalen Hurts types of quarterbacks more than than the Patty Mahomes just stay in the pocket. And don't get me wrong, Patty Mahomes has some maneuverability and some escapability also.
He was running.
Yeah, he can run also.
Dude, Patty Mahomes in his 6 years has basically Jalen a 1 year, his first year and 3 games. Jalen has way more yards than Patty Mahomes in his whole 6 years. So he's not a threat like Jalen Mahomes. I mean, Jalen Hurts at all. Like he only has like 1,600 rushing yards in 6 years. Jalen has that in like 2 years, and he's only playing 3 years. Like he did 1 year plus 4 games. Like Jalen has that many rushing yards and more touchdowns doing that. So that's not a threat. That's not a threat that anybody looks at for Patty Mahomes. Like you can't, like you said, defenses game plan for both. When you stop Patty Mahomes, how are we going to stop Patty Mahomes' weapons and how are we going to get Patty Mahomes off target so he can make mistakes, right? With Jalen Hurts, you got to do that. Plus, you got to say, how am I going to stop him running the football? That's the difference. That's extending. That's more game planning. That's more of a threat.
Game planning for Jalen Hurts is definitely different than game planning for and that's my it's like duh. Like depending on the quarterback you're playing, you have to game plan for his skill set. And what Jalen Hurts does make him a more difficult guy to game plan for. That's a fact because of the way he plays the game. He's a harder guy to game plan for. But that doesn't equate to him being better than someone because it's a harder game plan. That doesn't mean he's better than a certain person.
I agree. Philly has.
I don't know how that makes sense.
If Patty's in the Hall of Fame already,
all night trying to stop one guy,
and I don't
have to spend all night to stop the other guy. I'm pretty sure the guy that I'm spending all night is better than the guy that I don't have to spend all night for. That doesn't, to me, that don't make sense. I can say,
what's up, Mario?
Defenses have to try harder to stop one guy than the other, but that guy's not better than
all right, I'll put it to you this way then. Patrick Mahomes, right? You make his game sound very simple, right? Patrick Mahomes, if his game is as simple as you making it, why is it so hard to beat him?
Because you're beating Andy Reid.
You think it's just Andy
Reid? Coaching.
You think it's hold on.
Go look at Patty Mahomes' stats. And I was on the show last night. And we went over this, and someone brought it up to my attention. Go look at Patty Mahomes' stats. A lot of his throws are ding and dunk throws. Ding and dunk throws. He just dumping off. Boom, boom, boom.
He just started doing
playmakers making plays. Good.
He just started. See, you know what? We tend to undervalue the things we should value at the quarterback position, right? when it comes to your point, you said dinking and dumping and throwing and allowing your playmakers to make the plays, whatever. That's something new that he was adding to his game because not Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes comes from having Tyreek Hill, a guy that's really explosive and that can do any and everything against the defense, right? After losing Tyreek Hill, he had to refine his game. He had to become more of a nickel and dimer. And I think, and honestly, that's Tom Brady has made a Hall of Fame career of being a nickel and dimer because you're surgical. And I think, in my opinion, that's the more dangerous quarterback, somebody who's surgical. 5 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards, 40 yards, like surgical. That's where you start to get to elite quarterback play. Anybody can have a big arm, a la Justin Herbert. Anybody can have a big arm, right? Throw an 80-yard bomb. Like big arm, having a big arm doesn't make you one of the best. Being able to utilize your entire tool belt, your entire toolkit makes you one of the best. And in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes has access to a deeper tool belt when it comes to passing than Jalen Hurts does.
The numbers don't say it.
What do you mean the numbers don't say it?
Last year, the numbers didn't show. He had more yards in the air. He had bigger plays. He was more accurate. He had less turnovers. He deep the dunk, and he went deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys are underestimating this guy. And like you said, we don't even know
Jalen Hurts' offense isn't
guy.
predicated on dinking and dunking. Jalen Hurts' offense is predicated on a lot of intermediate, deep passing. You know, because of his play style, he doesn't have to dink and dunk anymore. Well, not anymore. He doesn't have to dink and dunk because of his play style. He could run for the 10 yards. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a part of his offense. But nonetheless, though, I'm supposed to get out of here.
No, I always keep you longer, Tom.
Yeah, I know, because you be talking these asinine Jalen Hurts topics, man.
No, but it's serious. Like, you don't put any grain in what I'm talking about for real. Like, you don't see it that way at all. Like, how you can say a guy that you got to prepare for more is not better than a guy you don't have to prepare for more? How you can say that guy that doesn't have more accurate stats than the other guy is not better than the other guy? Like,
because
that's what I'm trying to say. How you say a guy that can't even do all the things that one guy can do is better than the guy? It's like saying Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. He's not. Just because you won 7. Peyton Manning's better than Tom Brady. In terms of quarterback, if you want to go just off arms and throwing touchdowns stuff, Peyton's way better than Tom Brady. Like, they're not even in the same category.
I don't believe that's just one. Again, I'm not one to talk about the quarterback position strictly in a nutshell of talent and arm strength and all that kind of stuff. The quarterback position is a lot deeper than just talent. That's why Justin Herbert hasn't gotten the type of success Jalen Hurts has, because it's deeper than just being talented.
And it's coaching too, right?
You have to be a leader of men, a guy that your teammates want to follow. You have to be somebody that knows how to win. You have to be someone who's poised in certain situations. You have to have big game. You have to have big game energy. Also, coaching matters as well. You know what I'm saying? Coaching matters. That's why you saw a big difference in Trevor Lawrence when we had Urban Meyer versus Doug Peterson. Coaching does matter. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to pretend that having a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Now, I do believe that if Patrick Mahomes got drafted anywhere else, his career would be different. And that's a fact. Situations matter. And there's only but so much we can debate about someone's situation. The reality is the facts are the facts. His situation is his situation. You know what I mean? We can argue all day. Well, he got this person. He got this. We could do that all day because we could argue. Well, damn, what if Aaron Rodgers got drafted by the Detroit Lions? We can't just say to ourselves he would automatically be the person he is today. Situations matter. We can't say Patrick Mahomes would be Patrick Mahomes if he got drafted by Chicago. You know what I mean? Like we can't guarantee that. That's not possible to do. So we got to just operate off of the realities. Yes, he has Andy Reid. He's getting some of the best coaching that he can ever get. It's a match made in heaven, right? And Jalen Hurts is getting some pretty quality coaching as well from Nick Sirianni when he had Shane Steichen. He got Brian Johnson, and so he's getting some quality coaching as well. He's gotten quality coaching even in college as well. So all I'm saying is, and I'll leave it at this, right? Jalen Hurts is going to be considered one of the elite quarterbacks after this season. That's my projection. He's going to be considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in this NFL after this season. I already believe personally he's top 5. That's personally. But again, I only believe there's one elite quarterback in the NFL. And I don't throw a lead around loosely like everybody else does. That's just the way I look at the game.
There's two of them.
I don't.
That's what I see.
I don't.
And I don't hate on Patty. Patty's 1B for sure.
I don't.
Like he's right there.
Anyway,
like,
you guys. So you already got Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers is already out of the elite quarterback status. He's not
I stopped. You know, so you're so funny. Real quick, to answer your question, Dark Knight. Before I get out of here, real quick. When you get to a certain point in your career, I just stop talking about you. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to compare him to everybody else anymore. When it came to Tom Brady, I don't even compare him to anyone else anymore. Like I just, again, that's just me though. Like I don't. When you get to a certain point in your career, and
he's still elite.
Success,
he's just
he just won 2 MVPs.
He's a legend. Like it's like
beyond that.
Like he's like that's what I'm not even. He's not even somebody I talk about anymore because I know exactly what I'm getting. He has his resume is elite in and of itself.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just don't talk about him in that way anymore. Like I don't argue about Aaron Rodgers because it's like really Aaron Rodgers, he's one of the best ever played this game. You know, so it's like, you know,
if we talk about backyard football and that kind of past stuff, Aaron Rodgers is better than Patty Mahomes.
I mean,
that's
debatable. I mean, Patty already got more Super Bowls than him. I mean,
Patty already got.
But he don't have more MVPs, individual stats.
Well, he got. How many does Aaron have? He has 2 or 3.
I think Aaron got 3 MVPs, something like that.
4.
All right.
Well, he's only back-to-back MVPs.
I think
he only got 1 more. If he has 3, then he only has 1 more than Patty Mahomes. And Patty Mahomes is still like.
He got 4 even. Like he's been an MVP a couple of times. Like recently, 2 times. I remember back earlier in his career when he was starting, he was MVP back then too.
Okay, Ding Burrito says he has.
Yeah, he has 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't arguing. I wasn't sure.
That's
what I'm saying. Like it's like how you want to spin it. So in any argument, you can be like, okay, well, you know, I don't know. Patty is good. Like I said, 1B is not bad, guys. You guys are killing me for 1B. And, you know, he is 1B. There's only 2 elite quarterbacks right now, Jalen Hurts and Patty Mahomes. And he is part of the 1B fan club. So I love Patty Mahomes. I think he's great, you know, but I just feel like Jalen just brings more to the game.
Just one elite quarterback in the NFL. Just one. Only one.
But Jalen is a weapon. I mean, you can't deny that. He's a definite elite.
A rare breed, like he says. He's something different.
And but that to me, that just shows just how great Patrick Mahomes is, because he can't even do everything that Jalen does, and he's still scary. I mean, he averaged 7 yards a carry. We talk about Jalen running in the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes averaged 7 yards a carry, and you know that 26-yard run broke our backs late in the game.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. Also,
yeah, good medicine.
The point I was trying to make about these quarterbacks today are they're looking for quarterbacks more built like Jalen Hurts, whose game is built like Jalen Hurts. I mean, every quarterback that came in there was elite this year are mobile quarterbacks. The quote unquote running quarterbacks are now a thing. I mean, the norm. Like, you're looking for a quarterback like that. Joe Burrow is almost like a throwback. You know, Joe Burrow's like a throwback quarterback, but the quarterbacks that are coming out today in the NFL, the style of play is that you want a quarterback that is mobile. Even if your offensive scheme is not to run them all the time, you still want them to be mobile and athletic enough to take advantage when they need to. Now,
exactly. I agree 100%.
Wrapped around
100%.
His strengths. Our offense have been geared to take advantage of all Jalen Hurts' strength, and a part of that is running the football. And I think that our offensive staff has done a genius job of doing that. You get so many offensive coaches that try to fit their quarterback into their scheme. Well, our offensive brain trust said, no, we're going to take our offense and gear it around the quarterback we have, and we're going to take full advantage of what he does best. And they've done an excellent job. And
absolutely.
I think as long as they
100%.
do that the sky is the limit for him. Mm-hmm. Will he run less this year? I'm kind of hoping a little bit, but I don't want to limit his effectiveness and what he does best. I don't want to limit that, but I understand it. But he's a smart runner also. He doesn't take a big beating. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not a Michael Vick. He knows how to slide. He knows how to get away from it. He knows how to throw the ball away. He's a very smart quarterback. And like we said, the ceiling, we just don't know the ceiling. I think he's going to improve from last year. And like I dubbed the season unfinished business, and I think he's going to finish the business this year coming up.
Thank you, Mario. Really quick. I'm glad Mario said what he said because, what we have to also keep in consideration, this is another reason why, and this will be the last thing I say. I know I keep saying that, but this is officially the last thing I'm going to say. This is another reason why I think Patrick Mahomes is better than Jalen Hurts. I can't believe I'm having this argument, but I mean,
they don't come with that start. This is another reason.
Another reason he's better is because of the simple fact that he was able to do what he did this past season with wide receivers that probably couldn't be the number 2 on the Eagles today. You know what I'm saying?
Great point.
No, I'm not giving nobody that. They try to come with that bum ass excuse about his target. He had the best tight end in football, one of the best receiving tight ends ever to play the freaking game, and Travis Kelce, who was still there. He's been the number 1 target since he's been there.
That's one guy.
That's it.
Juju's been to a Pro Bowl. Hartman's played good football.
Juju is like
we cannot.
Are you really?
No, BG, stop it.
Are we really building up Juju Smith-Schuster?
I love Juju. Yes, I love Juju.
Now, DG, you can't have it both ways. We can't have the number 2 wide receiver duo in the league, and then you say that the Kansas City Chiefs have better receivers.
They didn't have the same way. They had good enough players that did their job and made the plays.
Not on the level of the Eagles receivers.
We're comparing them to.
Do you imagine
Juju to AJ or nothing? But
we're doing that's what we're saying. Though we're saying like
you scare me, BG. You scare me.
Like, but that's what we're saying. Right? We're saying that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are so good,
are so much head and shoulders over what Patty Mahomes.
We seen Jalen play without AJ Brown. He did good.
Okay, let's start there. It was a hell of a show, fellas. I really
I love you, Tone. We gotta do this again. Some more, buddy.
Man. As long as we ain't talking about Jalen Hurts, I'll rock out with you.
All right,
we're gonna have a show.
Yeah, Tone, please come back, Tone. Remember, I'm on the show, Tone. I'm on the show.
I got you.
Okay,
I'm gonna try to keep for sure, my man.
For sure, come back and join us.
Everybody where to find you at Tone before you get out of here, buddy.
Say it one time, bro.
Thank you.
I said, tell everybody where to find you at before you get out.
Oh yeah. So first and foremost, I appreciate BJ. I appreciate Dark Knight for allowing me to come onto the platform, man. It really means a lot. I love kicking it with these guys, man. Even though BG always makes the conversations so illustrious, so overzealous. I love what he provides, and I appreciate Dark Knight for being gracious to me and allowing me to come on a platform once again. If you guys want content from me, Chalk It Up Sports Network on YouTube. You can type in Tone DeShields II or Chalk It Up Sports.
All chats too, guys.
Whatever suits you. Also, if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll notice I haven't posted in quite some time. Was going through some family issues, but more content's coming. Also, I'm going through a pretty big move, so haven't really been able to really create as much as I'm used to doing. But again, I appreciate you guys for locking in this evening with me, and I can't wait for the next one. So. Y'all fellas take care, man. And
hey, Tony, before you leave, you gotta say the famous line. You gotta do it. You know that's why.
Well, listen,
I have to
BG,
hear it every time you're on the show.
Well, BG, look, man. Like I said, Chalk It Up Sports. Y'all lock in. Y'all smash that like button. Y'all subscribe. Y'all share. Y'all know how we get down. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports. Where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just gotta charge it to the game. One love. Stay humble. Stay healthy. And most importantly, stay hungry. Peace out, y'all.
All right, peace out.
Say that shit. Later, Tom.
All right, man. You guys, I can't leave you guys alone for 2 seconds. Oh my goodness. And then wait a minute. You guys were all right and calm while I'm listening on the way home. And then you wait till I get on it. Did I bring that energy here? Because everything
I was just waiting for Tone. I had to set him up. I had to set Tone up. I set him up with the easy questions first. Because I'm always gonna fight, and I'm gonna fight tooth and nail about people's opinion about Jalen Hurts. Just because I was, like I said, one of the first to really talk about it. No, I can't keep hearing the same thing in the offseason. That bothers me. We talked about this last year. I gotta see some more. I gotta see him do it again. That's what we said last offseason.
I don't.
I gotta see him do it again.
Dude. I was
he
that
did
dude
it
that
again,
had
and he
to
did
see
it
him.
even more better than we expected. And now we still talking this offseason. I gotta see him do it again.
No, I'm not there. I'm confident that he'll do it again. So I agree with you there. I'm not there, but I was there last year. I admitted it, and now I'm team Jalen, but I'm still not as as fanatic as you are. But I do love my quarterback, and I do have the utmost confidence in him in this upcoming season that he's going to be better than he was last year. And and at this point, even if he's not, if he can just duplicate last year, that would be amazing. I mean, that would be okay with me. But I am confident that he'll do better than what happened last year. I mean, we have a better offense to me. We have a better offense just by adding Swift and Penny. If they both stay healthy, this offense is going to be more dynamic than it was last year. And if Jalen takes the step that I think he's going to take, this offense is more explosive than the offense we saw last year, which was unstoppable. People, until we see it happen, until we see the defensive coordinators able to come in here and answer everything that we have to throw at them, this offense is as explosive as any offense in the league. Nobody has solved it. The closest game we had was against the Indianapolis Colts, and that might have been a letdown game. I mean, we might have been looking past them, to be honest. They weren't a threat. That might have been the game we might have looked past. But every game besides that one, it was domination. Even the Dallas game when we lost with Gardner Minshew. That first, we came out and jumped on their behind. If it wasn't for the fact that we had Gardner Minshew, we would have won that game, and especially against the Saints. Are you kidding me? Come on, this team is poised to duplicate what happened last year. I know the schedule is a little tougher, and I know BG is calling for 16-1, 17-0 season next year, but I'm a little less optimistic than that. But I am confident that this team is going to have a winning year, and it's going to be some more domination going on, and it's going to be even greater when it happens this year because the schedule is tougher, because we are going to be playing some elite teams, and when we prove to the rest of the league that we can perform dominantly against those teams, because the Super Bowl champion were on the ropes, we let them back in the game. The Super Bowl champs now were on the ropes. We dominated them in the first half. We dominated them. We shot our own selves in the foot by the fumble, because without that fumble, that game is over. If we don't fumble there, we're scoring there. It was supposed to be like a 17-point lead at halftime. So this
and then
team.
You think about it too. Like I'm like, what's big schedule jump, man? Like because teams played good last year, a lot of those teams aren't even the same team no more.
No,
the reason why we got the hardest schedule is because 3 teams from the NFC went to the playoffs last year, East, and we got to play them 2 times this year. Those are the things that make the schedule so much harder or rank so much higher. Like the teams we're playing, man, they're going off of their last year team. Not very many teams in the league, especially not in the NFC, are the same team at all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
nope.
A lot of them teams are trash now. Or a lot
Tracy,
worse.
You lost 1,500. I think I hate to think it's conspiracy theories, but I think that played a big factor too. Is that we were heavily favored. I think we were heavily favored in this bowl. And I never. Yeah, I never.
Like the first Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm gonna keep that off. I'm sorry. My bad. I go off.
All right. So what you said? Which I missed the part. Which Philly dog will bark the loudest? What was the consensus here? Which Georgia Bulldog was going on? I did hear you guys talk about Jordan Davis.
He said it was like he thinks that it's between Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. Obviously, I don't know if he actually said one. I think he kind of gave a reason for both to be good, but I think he did lean towards Nolan Smith, and that's what I think in terms of like the Philly dog. I think Jordan Davis. If you're talking about all the dogs, if you're talking about this year's dog, I think Nolan Smith. But I really feel like we had a long debate about the Jordan Davis thing. Like that was huge. Like that was almost just as good as this whole Jalen Hurts thing.
I heard you. I heard you mention
on Jordan Davis as opposed to he thinks he's going to be riding bench, and it's going to be Carter and Fletcher Cox starting. So I don't know
what.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
I don't think it's possible, really.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening at all. Like, I don't see how he thinks that, but I see people that think that too. Like, I would say anything. Carter's taking Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox coming off the bench. I think Jordan Davis is about to change the game for DTs this year. Like, we're about to see a whole nother DT that we ain't never seen before. Because the measurements, the size, the speed, the athleticism, and the fact that he's been through it all for a year. He got the redshirt a year behind some of the best DTs in the game. There's just no way in hell he's gonna come out and lay a goose egg this year. To me,
I don't
like
think so.
someone in the chat, when he was playing before he got hurt, we had a top 5 rushing defense. It took 2 games without Jordan Davis before Howie Roseman realized, dang, this guy's really that big of an impact on this defense. Let me go get Limbaugh Joseph. Let me go get Sue. Because his impact that he made on this football team as a rookie, an overweight rookie. He slimmed down even more now. He's more in shape now than he's ever been in his whole life. And we're gonna see a different football player. That's my take on that one. That's my take.
I agree. I do agree. I mean, 330.
Eddie wants to know who do we think is going to win the guard battle?
Oh, the guard battle. I want Steen to win. Actually, forget that. The next person up and all that. We got Cam Jurgens for a reason. Let him be the eventual replacement for Kelsey. If Steen, and I said this last week, if Steen comes in and not flat out outplays him, but let's say it's a tie. If it's a tie, then I say you play Steen. Steen is he's built to be a guard to me. He's more built, although he was a tackle in college. He's bigger, and it's been noted that Lane Johnson likes to play next to a bigger guard. I know Cam Jurgens I think he's a good lineman. Don't get me wrong.
And he got bigger this offseason.
Right. He's going to be an adequate replacement for Kelsey, but I like to see Steen play because that's what we drafted him for. We didn't draft him for a tackle. We drafted him to play guard. And if he battles Jurgens to a tie or close to that, and especially if he outplays him, that's a no-brainer. If he outplays him, then you play Steen. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think out there, but I think Steen can win the job. I know what the depth chart looks like now in the OTAs, but it is only OTAs. Anything could change. I agree. There's going to be a big battle in the training camp. When training camp starts, there's going to be a battle.
And I agree in that sense. If it's a tie, give it to Steen. But Steen could also be our future right tackle. He's a dual position guy. And I keep going back to what we plan and what really happens. You know what I'm saying? We plan for Landon Dickerson to be Jason Kelsey's replacement. That's why we drafted Landon Dickerson. He was to come in. We got the boy from Alabama, #1 center in the league. He's about to replace Jason Kelsey. Jason doesn't go nowhere. And all of a sudden, Isaac goes down, and he plays right tackle. Then they move him over to left tackle and let, Herbert play. And then he's an all-pro. Now he's the best left guard in the game right now. You know what I'm saying? The best. And it's his second year ever playing that in the NFL. He's the best. So now you get Jurgensen, who got the red shirt last year. We've seen Jurgensen play last year, and he played good when he got his opportunity to play. He got bigger this offseason. He knows the system. Why not? I can see him playing the right guard spot. And who knows? Jurgensen, I think they said Isaac weighed like 2 more pounds than Jurgens weighed right now. And you've seen how good, Isaac played for us these years. You know what I'm saying? Isaac was a pivotal part of that Super Bowl run. Why not? If he goes and starts, what happens if he become an all-pro right guard? Now you're sitting here stuck with no center still. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to redraft another center anyway. And then you might end up moving Steen over to Lane Johnson because Lane says he's only playing, 2-3 more years. And you got, your replacement for Lane Johnson. You got to go get back there and go get another center. So it's up in the air. Like I said, I think he deserves it since he redshirted last year. He knows the system more. He understood what his downfall was. He wasn't big enough, so he went this offseason and gained weight and gained the strength that he would need to play the position. He knew already where he was going to have to play once Kelsey decided he was coming back for another year. He knew where he was going to play. He wanted to get on that football field. And I think his experience alone, and why not play next to, Kelsey and learn from the best on the field as opposed to just off the field. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, like you said too, if it's a tie going into training camp, the guy is bigger. He's more of a mauler. He's a big guy. Like you said, he played tackle and guard as opposed to guard and center. So he's a bigger guy, and if he does earn a spot, more power to him. You know what I'm saying? More power to him.
I mean, Jurgens has the upper hand. Let's not get it twisted. He's been there a year. He knows the playbook, and he's been learning behind Kelsey and the such. So, he has the upper hand. That's why I'm saying it's so more important. It's important. If it's a tie, that Steen should get it. Because if it's a tie and he's only been exposed to the playbook for a few months now, then yeah, that shows that he's advanced. And if but if I was going into and I had a favorite, or I had to name one a favorite, of course it's going to be Jurgens. He just knows more. He has a year under his belt. So, but it's a great dilemma to have. I mean, a great problem to have. If either one of these guys turn out to be good linemen, it's a great situation to have. That's what we want. We want depth along the offensive line. That's what helped us to be a dominant team last year, having that O-line depth, because some of the O-line go down. They don't play the whole year, and to have adequate backups is important. So it's a nice problem to have, to be able.
And we got a lot of other linemen too that can play pretty good. Like, we didn't even notice all the times that our starters went out the last 2 years.
Same to you, Twisty Digger.
We haven't even noticed it because the backups came in.
Twisted Jigger. I'm sorry, Twisted Jigger. Look at it. I'm sorry, I admit it, but Twisted Jigger is sending a shout out to all the fathers out there. And we
happy
like to
Father's Day to you, my guy. Good looking out, my guy.
They asked that we talk about Shannon Sharpe leaving Undisputed. We did talk about it last week. I don't know if they talked about it before I got on here tonight. But yeah, his last show was this week, and we wish Shannon the best. And we know he's going to get paid. He's not going to be off the air for very long. We also got into talking about whether he would be an adequate replacement for Shannon. I said that I have to see it. I know that coming out the gate, he's not going to be anywhere near Shannon Sharpe's level of entertainment on that show. And I do have some doubts on whether he's going to be a competent debater to Skip Bayless, because that's a debate show. You have to debate there, and you're going to have to be articulate and intelligent to be able to debate with Skip. And I know he's got producers and writers and people that of that nature that's going to help him out. But I'm rooting for Shady. Don't get it wrong. He's one of the only analysts that we have that rides for the Eagles as hard as he does. No other analyst on television anywhere, any station, anywhere network rides as hard for the Eagles as Shady. So I love the guy and I'm rooting for him. I'm just giving my honest opinion. That's all I'm doing.
And I agree. Is he as polished as Shannon? No. Shannon's a character in himself, you know what I'm saying? Like, but then Shady's a character in himself too. And he is on a really good show. I want to say what show is that he's on right now? With Joy Taylor. The Speak. That's one of the best shows out there right now. You know what I'm saying? He's on a really good show right now, and he's doing some really good things over there. Like you said, I think that they do have the producers definitely going to keep him in line. And the fact that he's an Eagle, baby, that's why I want him to do it the most. Like you said, we don't have too many Eagle guys. You see all these Cowboy guys out there, on all these shows talking cowgirl noise all the time. Like, why not have on one of the biggest shows an Eagle guy? So I'm wishing Shady the best of luck. Hopefully you can. I'm not saying that he can't eventually be better than Shannon at it. Shady's new to this whole, commentary thing. He just retired like a year ago. I don't even know if he's officially retired yet, to be honest. Is he officially retired?
I don't know, but I'm saying that it's only so many times he's going to be able to call Dak ass on that show. He's going to have to come up with some more material, some real valid facts to debate Bayless on this show. That I think that outrageous outtake alone got him handpicked. And to go to BJ's point, he said, "Do you think Skip handpicked Shady?" Or the station or the network? I don't know. Maybe because they are looking for an outspoken person to be up against Skip. That's been that's the norm that we expect from that show for the last 7 years. Shannon has played his role very well. I mean, he took over. I mean, it was Skip and Stephen A. And then Skip went to the Fox, and they matched him up with Shannon, and that was a perfect matchup there. I think that Stephen A. and Skip was a good matchup there. So you needed another outspoken person, and Shannon fit the bill just perfectly. Got better every year, and now he is a superstar in his own right, I think, and he's not going to be unemployed very long. So I'm wishing Shady the best. I hope that he can be as entertaining and he grows into the role, and he does, take that next step. We're looking for him to take the step that Jalen took last year. But but on, I like it. If he could take that type of step, that he's in there. But we'll have to see it. Shady should sit tight and leave Skip alone. Skip is poison.
Anthony said, I want to see Michael Irvin and Skip. I wouldn't watch the show anymore. Hear all that cowboy noise over and over.
Oh, that would be sickening. They wouldn't. First of all, they wouldn't be able to debate because the Cowboys is a big talking point, and who's going to debate the other side of that with two Cowboy fans? So that's a good matchup with Shady and Skip, the Eagles and a Cowboys fan hosting a debate show. That should make for good entertainment.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely be a good one, man. Good one, man. Hey, thank all you guys for still rocking with us right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are 2 hours in. It's been a great show so far. You got any other hot topics you want to talk about? What topics did we put on here? We already talked about Jalen being a GOAT. You already know he is. And which Philly dog was really the main two ones we want to talk about on this show. You have anything else you want to touch on before we get up out of here?
Not really. I'm just looking forward to the season start. The OTAs were great. The punter. Tracy's bringing up. If you guys have any talking points before we get out of here.
Oh yeah, the punter. I still want to see Legatron. I heard that he's booming him, but he's not that accurate.
Oh, he's not that accurate.
I heard he's been shanking some too. But the leg is strong. But I would rather give him a shot just because he's a kicker too. Like Sipples, we've had Sipples for 3 years now, right?
Yeah. Sipples got to go. He can't be. He cannot start the season.
1 year.
He can't. He's not good, man. I mean, no. But even more important than him, though, we got to get better players on the special teams. Our special teams unit, as a collective unit, was not good last year. We're not, and it cost us in the biggest game of the season with that long punt return. We kind of won despite their poor play during the regular season, and they came back to bite us in the ass in this. So we got to improve that aspect or that phase of the game. Special teams have got to be better than they were last year. They just have to. We can't. I mean, our offensive defense, they were dominant.
We're getting rid of all the other coaches. We should have got rid of him too. Because it's the coaching, obviously, right?
Chronicle. Yeah, the coach. Yeah, the coach, and that may be Nick Sirianni's weak spot. There is he really does go back for his assistants, and I guess that's rightfully so. You kind of you hired those guys. You want them to be successful. You try to put them in a position to be successful, but you have to be. You got to be honest too. You got to be honest, and if the guy can't do the job, then you got to replace him. So I get it, that's his buddy, but hey,
I don't think we need another kicker though. I'm all Elliott. I think
I'm good with
Elliott. He goes, "You think we should go after Buda Baker?"
Only if he's affordable. I mean, Howie's the cap wizard. If he can fit him under the cap, I'm not going to kick Buda Baker out the bed. Don't get it twisted. I would much rather have him than D-Hop. We have a much bigger need for a Buda Baker than a D-Hop. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I take Buda Baker if it was somebody that if there was a position that I would go, I'm safety, and Buda Baker being one of the top safeties out there, yeah. If we can get him for a good price, but the only thing is, we got to trade for him. He's not a free agent.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to give up anything.
You know, it's not much that I want to give up. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give up anything really at this point.
And really, I guess
if I had really to rethink it,
with all the young talent we got, we just need to let training camp come. Like, if we pick up anybody, Howie got a little bit of money stashed away. If we need to go pick up somebody after training camp, preseason, right before the season started, think how many good players we came right when the season started, or even after the season started that we added to our team last year. I think going into training camp right now, I want to see these men go there. 90 men. I don't think we got all 90 right now, but these 90 guys go out there and battle for training camp and maybe even like the first preseason game, because we got a lot of young, unknown talent on this roster that we need to figure out. Like, some of these guys have been on team for 2 years, like Josh Jobe. People even forgot about him. He was a good cornerback in Alabama.
Yeah,
and what happened? We're starting to hear McPherson is out there, pushing Maddox for a starting spot. That's another guy we drafted. How good is he? Is he really pushing, or is it just smoke? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to see these young guys and where they developed at, and like how far they develop, because you don't want to let these guys just sit there on the bench, because football is really a mental thing, and the least these guys play, the less motivated they're gonna be to play. You know what I'm saying? The more they're riding pine, the less they're gonna think they're the greatest player in the league, type thing. And you need to keep these guys fresh, hungry, thinking they can go out there and make an impact on your football team.
Well, you got Philly says give the young guys a chance. I have to agree with him. I'm gonna retract a little bit. I'm going to say no on Buda Baker because of that statement alone. I agree with that so strongly. He says give the young guys a chance. I will wait until the season starts, because we do have some young guys that are projected to be okay at the safety spot.
And so many at the corner too that can actually convert over to safety. There's a lot,
right?
I'm even interested in seeing what's his name, Ringo, go try to play some safety. He's big enough.
Well, the other guy,
he could be the next Charlie Garner Johnson.
Is his name Sidney Brown? The safety.
Him too. I was talking about Ringo in general too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
he's big enough to go out there.
We have enough people. Yeah, and they're going to be cross trained. We do that. We cross train them, so they'll get some chance if the defensive staff identifies that they can, if they are versatile enough to play safety, they cross train a lot of defensive players. A lot of positions on the team they cross train because they want to have versatile players along the offensive line, especially. So you see, Juergens he's a center, but he's training as a guard. We have centers or linemen that play multiple positions. So the Eagles do a great job at cross training players at different positions. So I like to give the young guys a chance, because that's our cheap labor right now. And we have to pay Jalen. Jalen's contract is still team friendly, but he does take up a lot more money than he took up last year. So we got to be frugal in some of these situations here. So the young guys play, and we saw the Kansas City Chiefs do it last year with all the young guys they had on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And they won the Super Bowl. And what else came with that Super Bowl? Some very valuable experience for the young guys. So those young guys coming in this year have Super Bowl rings under their belt. So we need to kind of follow that path with our young guys too.
And it says Eagles need tight ends and special teams. That's another thing people were really talking about, that second tight end spot, man. You got Arnold coming over from the Jags, and he played some good football with the Jags. He's more of a blocking tight end, but he actually made some pretty good catches with the Jaguars last year. You still got Calcaterra. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with Tyree Jackson. And then you got Jack Stahl, who, he did his job last year too as a number 2 tight end. So who's going to actually earn and win that tight end 2 spot behind Goddard?
I don't we pick up a free agent? We signed a free agent tight end.
Arnold from the Jags.
Arnold.
Yeah, he was the Jags.
I think he's going to be a top candidate for that top tight end spot too. What about the quarterback that we were high on that was converted to a tight end? He's been hurt the last couple of years. What's his name? I forget his name. Jeez. But we got some. We got some tight ends. Is it Jackson? His last name? Is it?
Yeah, but this is really his last string. If Tyree Jackson does nothing this year, boot him. But mid-season, if he even showed you nothing, we didn't get him off the team. And he was just
I think somebody will merge. I think we have
like what do you call it? I don't say a wet dream, but he was like this guy that we were just so woo. We got Tyree Jackson, and he ain't not did nothing for like 3 years now. And I'm just over even saying the man's name because he ain't did nothing. All he does is get hurt when he goes out there. He ain't made no big touchdown. I think last year before he got hurt, he had like 2 catches. You know, like this guy is, and we're still got him on a team. Like he's still like we're still expecting him to go do something because of his size and speed. Like I'm done with him.
Yeah.
So
I'm done too. Especially after seeing Anthony. He tore his ACL and MCL. Yeah, and he hasn't really, been on the field long enough to solidify a spot. I mean, they can't be as high on him. They can't be that secure with him by bringing in Arnold. You know what I'm saying? So, this guy, this is probably his last chance here. This is probably his last chance this year.
The 4 roster spots.
Kala, what's his name? Calcutta or what's his last name? I forget.
Calcaterra.
Yeah, he's not bad. I think we have a capable tight end too on the roster. Just whoever wins the battle in the training camp, I'm going to be okay with whoever they determine wins the battle. I think we have some good candidates there.
Eddie says we have 14 million and 4 open spots. Who y'all trying to get? Like I said before, I'm not really trying to get anybody. To be honest, like to fill, you can do anything with those open 4 spots. Do whatever you want, whatever you think where the weakest at. Go get another linebacker. Go get another safety. Go get another
backup offensive alignment. I want another offensive alignment just to solidify that offensive line depth. I want that. Like I said earlier, that was key. We need to have that. So I want another offensive lineman. If a linebacker is out there that's worthy, I wouldn't mind taking that. Hey, a special team player. How about that? He shouldn't cost a lot of money. If we got a special team specialist out there, if there's a special team specialist out there, let's sign one of them. I remember when we used to do that. When we used to sign players that specifically played special teams, and our special teams were not as bad as they are now. Like, so I would invest in that if that's out there.
Yes, that's all.
That's only 2 reasons.
That's my number one. Now that you said that, Dark Knight, us returner. If there's any returner that's a decent receiver, but great returner, that I don't know too many of them because like they're trying to take the kicking game out. But
they really are.
If you can get me one guy that's worth anything, because I'm not.
Don't start that, Tracy. We're not starting. I'm not talking about.
I'm not a Covey guy.
We're not talking about him. No, I'm not talking about Quez.
Quez Watkins for the 3, baby. Quez is our 3rd. Tracy, I'm gonna end that for you. Quez is our 3rd receiver. OZ is gonna be our 4th receiver.
OZ is gonna be the 3rd receiver. Don't get me wrong. We've had this discussion.
Quez is gonna be the 3rd receiver.
I'm not against Quez. I want Quez to do well. If Quez does well, then it bodes well for our team. Don't get me wrong. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Quez right now. So I'm picking OZ. I can't pronounce his name. It's OZ.
That's why I'm picking OZ. I'm gonna make sure you have all the confidence and all the players that we drafted your Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean,
Quez great.
Quez, come on, Quez, get it together. I hear he's saying all the right things. He got the right attitude. When the smoke clears and Quez is the guy that they picked, then that's when I'll be fully behind him. Don't get it twisted. I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for him.
Brandon Allen.
I'm just not confident that he will live up to what you guys, especially what BG expects him to do. I don't know. I have to be convinced. That's all. I'm just saying I have to be convinced.
40 catches, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Oh, that'd be great. If he could do that, that'd be great. If he gets 700 yards. We
got a long season. You're talking about 17 games plus Super Bowl, 3 more games. So if he gets 40 catches in there, about 700 yards, because he's a big play type guy.
I know Rambo is another qualified candidate to compete for that spot. So this is what I'm saying. There's going to be competition at the wide receiver 3 spot. That slot receiver spot is going to be some heavy competition. So Quez has better bring his A game. That's all I'm saying. He better bring his A game if he wants to keep his spot. And I know that going into OTAs, he probably was on the depth chart #1, which doesn't mean a lot in OTAs, but you know, it had to make him feel good. But how long is he going to hold on to that spot, the #1 wide receiver, the slot receiver spot? How long?
Anthony,
Ozzie Rambo is out there catching everything in sight.
Is Brandon Allen a different player on a different team, or are you talking about Devin Allen? That's what I'm confused on that one. I don't know Brandon Allen, so I'm just asking. Do you know what Brandon Allen is? That a different player, or are you trying to say Devin Allen, the track star? We didn't see none of him, and I'm not even convinced he can play football.
Yeah. I think we are. I think he's already fizzled out. I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard much from him since training camp last year, right? I haven't heard much about Allen since training camp. Is he still? Yeah, he's the track star. He's the hurdler, right?
Yeah,
the guy that ran the hurdle.
Devin Allen.
Yeah. All right. No, he's not. I don't think he's going to be.
I'm not trading Quiz, man.
If
he doesn't win third, I still want him on the team for the 4th. I think Quiz. I don't understand. Like Quiz dropped like some
has
big
no value.
Yeah, like
if we can get 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and a glass of milk, I'll take it. I'll be happy. I think we'd be lucky to get that. Quez has no value.
Man.
Who's going to trade for Quez?
Quez got value. Like y'all act like Quez didn't have 700 yards in the game. Y'all like he didn't even have. Well, he had like 4 touchdowns last year.
Give me 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches and a glass of milk. You can have Quez.
You gotta give me a 3 for Quez.
A big glass of milk too, because the peanut butter and jelly could be dry. So
3rd round.
That's all you can get from it.
Quez. You can't coach that speed, my guy. You can't coach that speed.
It doesn't mean anything when you can't catch the ball.
But he did. He had a couple
hold
of bad
on
drops.
to the ball after you catch it.
Quez is suffering from the whole Derek Barnett treatment in Philly. Barnett made a lot of great plays, but since he made bonehead plays at the wrong time, we hate him. Quez made a lot of great plays, but since he made bonehead drops when we needed him, you know, we're crucifying him after one.
I'll give you this, right? Quez is in the same position that Nelson Aguilar was in going into the 2017 season. We weren't high on Nelson Aguilar. We were kind of low on him. He underperformed. I mean, he underperformed for the draft position that we took him at, right? So going into that 2017 season, we were kind of down on Aguilar, but Aguilar had like his best season as an Eagle that year, and he contributed tremendously to that Super Bowl win, so that Super Bowl season. So now Quez has the opportunity to do that this year. Will he do it? I don't know. Philly, you got it. We see eye to eye. His mental was not there. I mean, I saw times when the ball came to him, his eyes was big as dollar bills, silver coins. I mean, like, yo, he looked scared out there. He looked scared. He was not the dog that I thought he was.
Think about it, though. You went from being number 2 receiver on the team, right? The number 2 receiver, number 2 threat on the team. 700 yards. Your first season, you didn't get thrown to you that much. And next year, you're number 2. And then all of a sudden you go go get traded for AJ Brown, and now you're like back to the bench. It's like the guy that got promoted and then demoted in the same year. You're like, oh, I am this guy. I can't be great. Everybody's looking at me. Look at me, Quez. And then, okay, AJ Brown, you're not really that important, dude. Step back a little bit. It was a mental thing. He came out. He admitted it. He understands his role now. I think he'll be fine.
All right, now I do this. James said Quez is a threat as long as we don't throw it to him.
Wow.
He's a threat as long as we don't throw it to him. And I get it. And that makes sense. Don't get it twisted. It does make sense. It sounds funny, but it makes sense. Quez is a threat because he's got speed. So he does command a certain amount of attention. But you know,
if
when
he
you
didn't
don't catch
make
the
big plays
ball,
last
it
year,
kind of, you know, it kind of wanes. It kind of defeats the purpose. So, you know, he is a threat. He did his job somewhat last year. I mean, he did take some attention at times away.
he
and
made some big
allowed.
catches last year too.
He made, I mean, not enough.
He made some
Not
big
enough.
catches that help us win games last year.
But in very important spots, he didn't make the play. Very, very important key spots. He didn't make the play. And we need this, and that's what we need. And you're right. Our third receiver is Dallas Goedert.
Yeah,
so we don't need
true.
a lot out of him. We just need him to be dependable when he gets those opportunities, because he's not going to get a lot. We got 3 top receivers on this team: AJ, Devontae, and Goddard. So we don't need a lot of production out of him. But when the lights shine on him and it's his time, he has to make the play. That's all. He has to make the play. He's not going to get a lot of shots. But when he gets those opportunities, he has to make the most of them, and he just hasn't done it on a consistent basis for us. Or at the most inopportune moments, he decides not to make the play. Yeah. Come on, we win that Super Bowl if he makes that catch. And it seems, you know, that's a catch Devontae Smith or AJ make, because they got dog in them. And then the ability
AJ
to make
dropped balls last year. Devontae dropped balls last year, and no one's crucifying.
They made way more contested catches than Quez. Quez was dropping balls when he wasn't as contested. I mean, AJ was catching touchdowns on 2 people at a time. Devontae Smith going up making one-arm catches, contested jump ball catches for as skinny as he is. And he is skinny. Boy, I just saw him in the softball at the his softball game. Boy, he is skinny. This girl that he took a picture with, she was thicker than a Snicker, and she was way thicker than him. Like, boy, oh boy.
I want to look it up, what the Eagles receivers last year. And let's look at drops, because people be making this drop thing. He only really had like 3 drops. And people are making a huge thing about it. And I promise you that Devontae and AJ, they get the ball thrown to him more, but they drop more passes too as well. And
now we're going back to Tone's theory. If you have more balls thrown at you, there's opportunity for you to have more drop passes. But if we look at the numbers, see, I didn't even get a chance to put this stat up, but I did the numbers. Like Jalen threw interceptions every 77 passes. So with the extra 150 passes, he would have only thrown 2 more interceptions. So that would have been 8 on the season. So it would have been way less than 12. So, but
see, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you want that picture? I don't have it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, but no, BG got to find it. I don't have control. I'm not in my studio. This is not my show, Eric. We're not doing shots. He's like, dude, this is a new show that me and BG has on the State of the Eagles. So, come visit me on Eagles Talk. We'll be back to doing that. We'll be back on next Thursday. In the off season, we're on every other Thursday. So this Thursday coming up is our time to come on. So you guys make sure you come out. And
I'll take a drink for
right now. Yeah, you can take it. But for right now, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to this program right here, because this is going to be it. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, Tracy. This is not Eagles Talk. This is the State of the Eagles, a new program with 2 of the Titans of the Eagles content arena. That's me and BG 31. Yes, brand new. We're going to be coming to you guys in the all during the off season, giving you more of this exciting, explosive content that if you missed it earlier, you missed BG going toe to toe with Tone. They was slugging it out. I had to send them both to their corners. They were like, we were like the 3 little bears out here.
Hey, wait till I get Red Trey Rock on. Wait till I get Red Trey Rock on. We did our show last night, but yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of these guys come. We're gonna have some guests on. I like doing our show too by ourselves, but we're gonna definitely sprinkle in some guests here and there, because I love going to battle with some of these people, man. Like, it's fun because all banners. Like, what are we really saying? Okay, you think Jalen's number 2 and Patty's number 1, but what does that really mean? The top 10 quarterbacks in the league are all great quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all good. I just prefer to give Jalen a nod. And I'm not, like I said, 1B for Patty is not that big of a deal. You know, like y'all acting like I'm saying he's trash. He's the second best quarterback in the league.
This guy had 2 Super Bowls already. 2 MVPs
Super Bowl's a team
already.
thing. Super Bowl's a team thing. You know.
And we had the better team, and he still got the Super Bowl.
They had the better coach.
That's got to mean something. We had the better team.
They had the better coach.
Oh man, you're gonna make me get mad thinking about the
right?
Super Bowl.
Did they not have the better coach?
Stop. They did have a great coach, but our coach is going to be up there. Our coach is going to
be there.
Yeah, he's going to be. That was only his second year. Now, another thing we talk about ceiling on Jalen Hurts being like unseeable right now, right? Well, what about the ceiling on Sirianni? He has a year, 2 years under his belt now. Or 3. Yeah, 2 years under his belt. He's been to 1 Super Bowl. He's only going to get better. We don't know what his ceiling is yet. I'm not saying that he's the offensive genius that Andy Reid is, but we are running his offense. You know, he's just not the play caller. So he is a very brilliant offensive mind, right? Is he is the CEO of this team. So I think that he manages his coaching staff very well. He chooses the right coaches for the right positions thus far, except for the special teams. We that jury's still out. But I think that he has orchestrated a coaching staff that is elite. When you have your offensive and defensive coordinators both plucked for head coaching jobs in only your second season, you got a good picking eye. You know what I'm saying? You got a good picking finger there. So he's a great CEO, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, Nick's going to be better than Andy, especially once he beats him. No coach has done it so far for the Eagles. We're over against Andy. So until the coach does it, that's when they earn my respect. And me saying, okay, if we go, what week do we play the Chiefs this year? It's like week 8 or something like that. If we go in there and beat the Chiefs, guess what? Nick just became the best coach in the league too.
Yeah, if he does do that, I will give him that, because that's going to be a tough task to do with both of our teams coming off a bye. That week 8 matchup. We'll both be coming off a bye. The Eagles will be coming off a bye. Kansas City will be coming off a bye, and it'll be a primetime game. And we know Andy Reid's record coming off a bye. He's almost unbeatable, almost.
And
so that would be great.
He makes me so sick to my stomach.
I just want to beat him already. But how about this? Andy's not, and this is my theory on it, or my perspective. Andy is not Andy unless we fire him. I think that firing him
is true.
Really,
he does not
really made Andy who he is. Yeah, he's not Andy without getting fired by the Eagles. We both needed that separation. Andy needed it because I don't know if he was burnt out, but he was starting to be, I don't think complacent, but he was starting to be stagnant. Let's put it that way. He was starting to be stagnant. And I think the firing, when we fired him, it kind of relit the fire under him and pushed him towards the greatness that he is now. Like, he got reinvigorated after being fired. I mean, it wasn't even a day, was it? I don't even think he went a day before Kansas City hired him. Like, yo, get that dude now and get him here. And since then, he's duplicated or even surpassed what he did here. And we had the most successful era of Eagles football while Andy was here.
Yes.
I mean, outside of not winning the Super Bowl, that was a decade of perennial contendership. I mean, we were contenders almost every year Andy was here. And that's exciting as a football fan base to have a team that's contending every year to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. You asked Cincinnati would they have liked to have Andy Reid during that time. You know what I'm saying? You ask some of these fan bases, even Dallas. I mean, somebody put up a stat on the Dallas Cowboys the past 27 years. 5 and something, I forget, 5 and something in the playoffs. No NFC conference games. They suck. I mean, they really suck. I would hate to be their fan base for the past 27 years. Mm-hmm. Dallas sucks.
Yeah.
Wow, when you look at the numbers, man, and you be like, damn, y'all only won 5 playoff games in 27 years? 27 years. They have had so many first round exits. So Andy did lead one of the most successful eras of Eagles football, although he didn't win us a Super Bowl. But I think Nick is going his way to be to do the same with this era of football. And luckily he has the GM to help him do that, because Howie's is lights out right now. Like Howie's hotter than fish grease right now.
You ain't get a cap, baby. Go get your Howie Roseman key in the cap shirt. Print champs, baby. Go get you one. Go get you one.
Y'all don't even have a name. Big Simple talking about somebody talk about the Washington Commanders nation. Y'all don't even have a name. I don't think the Commanders, y'all have to fight for that name. But James, let me see. Nick and Hurts will be mentioned in the same breath that Reed and Holmes build back. Yeah, I believe that. I think
the thing that Nick does have going for him: 2 years in the league, two-time playoffs. All he knows is playoffs. Like he hasn't not had a losing season. He has not been in the playoffs. I think was that Dougie P too. Dougie P did that too, right? His first year, did they go to the playoffs, or did we go to the playoffs first year with Dougie P? With Dougie P, Doug Peterson.
No, we
did. Or did we missed the playoffs? So yeah. I don't think Andy Reid went the first 2 years either. I don't even think
he definitely didn't go his first year.
His first 2 years. So Dougie P is. So Nick Sirianni is really on a really good path right now. He could be better than all these guys.
Yep. Yes, he is. He can surpass both of them. Our first game is against the Patriots. Yes, it is. The Patriots, we're going to go up there and spoil the celebration that they're having for Tom Brady. They're honoring him that night, the first game of the season, when we come to visit the New England Patriots. So we're going up there and we're going to kick over the grill, put our hands in the potato salad, and piss in the lemonade. I'm telling you, we're going to spoil that party. Nick and Hurts are tied at the hip. Yes, they are. They are tied at the hip. Thanks to Howie. And imagine that, right? Nick, I said this last week, right? Jalen Hurts came in here, and although we all agree that he was picked as a contingency plan in case Carson Wentz got hurt, but Jalen Hurts came in and he had other plans. He came in with plans to be the starting quarterback eventually for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's that Mamba mentality, right? Even though everybody can agree that he was picked to be a backup to Carson Wentz.
I don't agree with that. I've never agreed with that.
I say that because when it came down to Dougie P being fired, you know why he was fired? Because he wanted to go with Jalen Hurts. The front office was still in Carson Wentz's corner or camp. They were in Carson Wentz camp. Dougie P wanted to pivot to Jalen Hurts, and they were like, "No, we're not on the same page," and they let him go.
I bet you that part's real.
Until I'm saying Carson Wentz forced his way out, and they just so happened to have Jalen Hurts still on the roster. But they weren't as sold on Jalen Hurts as Dougie P was.
And I don't dispute that. I just think at that time of the pick, and I'm just solely talking about the time of the pick, when we made the selection that second round, it was about getting an affordable backup. We've heard Howie talk about it. It was about getting affordable. Right. We were paying. Who was it we were playing? We paid like $15 million to Chase Daniels, who I think it was. You know what I'm saying? We had some expensive backup quarterbacks. And after we decided to give Carson the bag, we couldn't afford to give Carson $30 million a year plus $16 million a year and think that we're going to have a football team worth putting out on the football field. So I know a lot of people like to say that, but I really feel like that was a strictly a business move. That was a business move, I think. That was I'm not paying $15 million for a backup. I'm gonna go ahead and give me a nice young quarterback.
They saw little Lamar Jackson in them too. Or if not him, what was that other quarterback they could have gotten? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson back in the day. I think they regretted not taking Russell Wilson that year. And they had an opportunity. I think they saw something special in Jalen. They said, look, we got an opportunity to get this guy. Let's not blow it again. And I'm glad they didn't blow it. I'm so glad. I have a video of a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, friend of mine, whose son, who is so into football. I mean, at his young age, he knows a lot about football, and he so wanted Jalen Hurts. And he posted a video of him during that draft, waiting for the Pittsburgh Steelers to select, and they didn't pick Jalen Hurts, and he was crushed. And I was like, I'm so happy they didn't pick you, that the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't pick him. He was crushed. He knew. And he was like only like 8 or 9 or something like that. And he knew that this
like if
guy
Jalen wasn't the Heisman finalist, like I would understand people be like, okay, still questioning, but like the dude had an amazing, like one of the best college football years ever that year. You know, if it was for Joe Burrow, you know, LSU, what they won a championship that year. If it was for that, then you're looking at Jalen Hurts being the Heisman Trophy winner that year. Like he was dominant, 4,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. You know, he made CeeDee Lamb, that's for sure.
Russell Wilson has alienated himself from his team, man, because he you know, along with this big contract that Denver so stupidly gave him, they also gave him his own office. You can't promote team unity or chemistry when your quarterback has his own office. Like, where do they do that? Well, they do it in Denver. But I think that was the beginning of the end for Russell Wilson, when you demand your own office. So he don't have a locker. He got an office. He has his own office. Wow. Like, no, I'm not a part of the team, dudes. I'm going to go to my office now.
Yeah. After the game, I'm going to the office. Y'all holler at me after y'all finish talking about whatever y'all want to talk about.
Wow. He did make
sense
there. Yeah.
CeeDee had a huge year that year with Jalen Hurts. CeeDee was good a little bit before, but his numbers definitely went up with Jalen Hurts that year.
Yeah. They gave him his old coach too. Yeah. That was I don't know what. So he has who they have down there now? Denver has Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Sean Payton is in Denver now?
I think Sean's gonna bring him back.
Yeah, he is. He's gonna bring him back. Sean Payton's an offensive genius too.
Yeah.
And he always do. We don't play Denver. He always does us dirty too. That's one coach I like to beat. Yeah, me too.
So bad. Oh my God. How many like long field goals at the end of the game did they keep crushing us on? It's like the same replay every single time. I was such a Saints hater, man. But since Jalen came, baby, woo! We ain't had no problem with the Saints anymore.
Oh, except for last year when he wasn't there. So when he didn't play. Yeah. But yeah, that first year of Jalen when he took over, and we weren't favored to win that game either. Jalen went off that game. That was like his first year in the league. Yeah, he went off in that game. We were big underdogs, and he played his ass off. That was just a glimpse of who he could be. And now he's more consistent, and he's going to be better next year.
Later, what a difference some years make. You know what I'm saying? 3 years.
Yeah, Sean to give him one. Peyton to give him 1 year. If Russell don't turn it around. And that'll be deservedly so, because Sean Payton is an offensive genius. He's going to – his offensive scheme is quarterback friendly. Let's put it that way. So if he doesn't come in and perform up to the expectations, Sean Payton will not hesitate to get his ass out of there. He will not, because that's what he needs. He needs a good quarterback. He's had Breeze for a long time, one of the greatest, right? So if
Breeze needed Sean Payton to be that good too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
What do you think about Aaron Rodgers with the Jets?
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be good with the Jets, man. I really do. That's one team that I think that is quote unquote just at quarterback. If there's one team in here, instant contenders just at quarterback. If they were that team. Instant contenders just at quarterback, and they added one of the all-time greatest. They're going to be contending. They're going to be in the mix, no doubt. They had a dynamic defense, young defense, because this team is young. They're built through the draft, and they have a young offensive.
How many first round picks?
Yeah, how many first round picks they got on there? And they have a young offensive core, dynamic players, the rookie offensive year last year, and the running back might have been the running also. Brees Hall, he just got hurt, and I know he was dynamic. He was on my fantasy team. He was dynamic before he went down. So now you add a legend like Aaron Rodgers to the mix, and he brought in his own receivers, his own offensive coordinator. Yeah, they're going to be.
I wouldn't go that far. That's a little overboard, Philly. We're not gonna lose to the Jags. Don't go there. We beat.
Oh
the
yeah,
Packers.
I do too. I ain't gonna lie. I had us 13-4, and that was one of the games. The only reason, I don't think nobody blows us out, but so I think it's going to be a close game. But I only gave them the nod because they are that solid, and adding Aaron Rodgers is going to help them tremendously. The only thing that I see that may swing in our favor is that will they be hitting on all cylinders by that game? I think, what's that, week 5? I forget. Tell me what week that is. So hopefully, if we're going to get them, we get them before they are hitting on all cylinders, because we know how the NFL goes nowadays, especially our team. The first month of the season is basically an extended preseason because none of the starters play during the preseason. So those first couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so, our team is getting in shape also. It's almost like an extended preseason because teams they're not going all out. They're not risking injury in the preseason. Our starters don't play. And after the year we had last year, don't expect to see them at all in any of the games. Maybe a quarter. What did they play last year? Like a quarter or a couple snaps? The offense?
The whole preseason.
Yes, the whole preseason. So we're not going back to the old days, not with this team, not with the success we had last year, being one of the healthiest seasons we had in a long time. They're not playing these guys. So
it's because too we do
they're
those.
Going to be copycat. They're going to be copycats because what do they do? What does the NFL is a copycat league? So you see one team being successful, you duplicate what they're doing. So it's going to be more teams out there that's going to be holding their training camp sort of similarly, like taking it easy on their players so they're healthy for the beginning of the season. So
they do because of the joint practices too. Those are like the preseason games nowadays. It's a controlled preseason game. If you remember those games, we were lighting up a lot of them teams enjoying practice. But then when the preseason game came out, they were lighting our asses up. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, because we didn't play nobody. We were lighting them up in practice because our starters were playing in practice. But then when the game came, they were playing against our backups. So yeah, that's what was happening there. We're not losing to the Jets, Eddie. All right, it's going to be a good game, I think. What week is that game? Did anybody look it up? Let me see. Eagles schedule.
And I say 15-2, but the 2 are going to be like 2 division games. You know how it always is. Whenever like the Cowboys or Eagles are dominant, they always lose to like the Giants or Washington to some BS. Just like last year, the Eagles losing to Washington in that BS game where everything possible that can go wrong for you went wrong for you in a game. You know what I'm saying? It always seemed like, whenever we're doing great, there's always that one division team that was trash that would come and beat us. And I think I can see that happening. We played them week 6. I can see that happening again. Yeah, we talked about some Philly Dogs. We talked about the Philly Dogs for sure. Like I said, like I still think Alabama got the little nod over the Philly Dogs, but they're gonna, they just gotta come in and do their part. I really think it's more about the brotherhood, the familiarity that's gonna make those guys play so well, man. Like
the familiarity and the competition.
They don't want to be outshined by the other one. They're Eagles. They're back to the new guys are talking about. I got back-to-back championships. Dean and Jordan Davis. They only got one, and these guys we got that one and we got another one. So get on our level, and then you're gonna be like, oh, you gotta get on our level. We've been in the pros a year longer. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Swift over there just trying to remake his whole career. From the Detroit, just trying to separate from that, and he's happy to be back home too as well. And the fact that that's home, and you got your boy Georgia Bulldogs over there that support you too. Like I think that's gonna make all their games take it to another level that we're probably not even sure that we've seen. Like how we wasn't sure about the Jalen jump. I see that jump for the Georgia boys this year. You know,
I agree. I think the competition is going to be ramped up in practice. You got these guys who are coming off of a championship season, coming from a top program that know what it is to have position battles in camp. And you know, college is even more ferocious than the pros in the competition because they're playing to get to this level. So they're going to bring that same type of competition to the practice squad. And then we have some of the top talent on this team. So in practice, not only they're going to be battling each other for positions, they're going to be battling the hell out of the other side of the ball too. So it's iron sharpening iron in practice at the Eagles practice. We have top offensive line, top defensive line, and these guys are going to be playing for their careers, playing for the opportunity for more snaps, because it starting doesn't really mean a lot in the NFL, especially with our defensive line. We're rotating so much. It doesn't matter who's starting. It only matters who's finishing, really, because our starters, they rotate so much. It's not any of that, but they're going to be competing for the most snaps, to be on the field the most. That's what they're going to be competing for, and I think it's going to be a tough battle on that defensive side of the ball with those Georgia boys.
I want to know who they have voted for not pads. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, somebody voted for that?
Oh, okay, yeah, on my poll. Let me see the poll. I didn't even look at the poll. Let me go over here to my thing here.
Oh, you put a poll up? What was it?
Yeah, put on a poll. Here we go. Where's it at? Okay, it says, are you ready for the pads to come on? 90% said yes, they're ready. 10% said no. He wants to know out of 31 people. He wants to know who voted no pads.
Yeah, who the hell voted no pads? Yeah.
Who voted no pads?
I want to see pads. You know, I'm not what at training camp or OTAs?
Yeah. At training camp.
OTAs? Oh, training camp.
Training camp, like going, because that's the next step is pads and training camp. So I was like, who's ready for the pads? Yeah, 10%.
10% are not what? Oh, I'm not ready for training camp. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't want to rush summer. But I mean, I'm eager for this season to start. But I tell you guys all the time, I love summer. I don't want to rush summer. I need my cookout time. I need to be able to do that. But I am ready to watch football. If they started the games in July, I'll be rooting for that. But for football season to start, it starts at the end of summer. So for me to be rooting for the end of summer to come quicker, I'm not doing that. I just can't. And I'm torn. I'm just torn.
I
want football, but I don't want summer to be.
But I can't wait for the fall, baby. I'm an August, baby. Let's go. Let's get this football going already. Baby.
I'm an October baby. So I love the fall.
You love it.
But I love the summer, though. I do love
summer. That's my favorite season. Like you said, grilling, vacationing, getting out on the open road and having some fun. Yeah. Don't ever want to end summer. It seems like they're trying to end summer fast, shorter and shorter. Kids are out of school a lot less now than they were before. It's just they're always trying to do something with summer. And in Alabama, dude, this weather's trash in the summertime. Like, 1 year it's 100 degrees outside. One day it's rainstorming the next day. And it's just like you can never really get a good feel for what's going on in the summer. I miss the Cali summers. Let's just say that. I miss the days back in Cali.
BG is from Cali. He down in Alabama. I'm on the East Coast, the Northeast. Dark night like Scottie Pippen. Don't want to fuck up summer. Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to fuck up my summer.
Right?
Yeah, let me have my summer. Because BG, what's the climate down there? It's warm all year round. In the winter, what's like?
It's trash all year round. It's so humid here when it's hot. Oh my god, like you're sweating, just sitting
in the
around,
winter?
just sweating. Yeah,
just sitting around sweating.
And it's different ways, because some of it will be like, you try to plan something, okay, you have a couple of nice days, but then like tornadoes the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just out of the blue. It's like the news people don't ever really know what's going on for real. At the end of the day, is what I feel like. You know, you can't just be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to happen and that happens. It's like you're sitting here guessing all the time, man. You're guessing all the time. It gets
Dang, you
hot
get
though, yeah, but it's
115.
humid hot. It's humid hot. You know, where
Whoa.
it don't even have to be sun outside. You know, you can be on your porch and you'll be sweating.
Wow.
And it's not enough sun
Sweating with
beaming
no
on your
sun.
nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like you're sweating. You know?
No, I can't take that. I don't like that. And I'm
not a big fan.
I wanted to move to Florida too, but not.
I'm not moving to Florida because of hurricanes.
Yeah, my buddy lives in Miami. It's beautiful down there, but it gets hot down there too. It gets hot, humid hot down there, and you know, yeah, you're right. Like, and it's probably hot now. It's like hot now. And you live in Arizona, Eddie? It's hot there too, right? It's
Arizona. Hot. My mom lives there. That is horrible too in terms of heat, man. In Arizona, I remember coming to Alabama. I remember coming to Alabama one time from Arizona, and it was like 12 at night. And I took the Greyhound that time. I was younger. I took the Greyhound, and man, you know how the buses keep you all cold. They got the AC blowing, right? And I'm like, all right, they go for Phoenix, Arizona. If you guys need to stop, stretch your legs, go out. I'm like, yeah, let me get off this bus, man. I got off the bus, and it was an instant headache. It was like 115, 120 degrees at 12 o'clock at night. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, how is it this hot at nighttime?
Wow. Nighttime, 120 at night? I can't do that. I like warm weather, but not 120 at night. Wow.
It's a desert. It's a desert. It's horrible. My mom talks about it's hot. My stepdad be talking about how it's too hot. He hates it. Eddie say he loves it in AC. My brother lives there now. My cousin lives there now. I guess it's cool.
No, who's in the South? Philly. It ain't bad in the South.
Today.
Where? That's in Arizona. 102?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's hot. 90 degrees, 98 degrees at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can prepare for a hurricane, but you can't prepare for it today.
Yeah,
because they just pop up.
Tornadoes here, you kind of know when they're coming up around over here.
You can tell by the weather.
You go low key, dude. Yeah, you can. You know, because I watch a lot. I want to go storm chasing once or twice. You know, I think it'd be cool, but you can tell when it forms in the sky. See, I think a tornado is way different from a hurricane, though. Yeah, you might be able to prepare for it, but like, come on, man. Like, why you won't listen when every year you got to prepare for it? You know, you're talking about the whole ocean.
Score the first TD
taking over your whole state.
Sermon.
Like in Birmingham, I haven't seen firsthand a tornado here in Alabama, but around the surrounding area, just like Birmingham doesn't really have tornadoes that much like that. It'd be the outskirts of Birmingham, you know what I'm saying? Oh, they are having a shootout tonight. I heard like 20 shots. That's another problem with Alabama. They be shooting. They be shooting for no reason.
Well, that's my hometown.
I didn't want to talk about it.
I don't know.
I don't know if y'all can beat my hometown. The Philly just came out, and Alabama, Birmingham was 3 on the list of murders.
Oh, number 3. Ooh.
And first was Mobile, and then it was another place in Birmingham. I was like, God dang it!
In the country,
Philly dropped. Yeah, Philly dropped down to like 20 or something like that.
No, there was a couple years we was leading the league. That's horrible. We talk about leading the league in deaths. Like, yo, that's not good. Like, well, let's get back to football. We talk about leading the league. Yeah, Philly, we had the leading the league.
Nice and warm in LA. Yeah, man. I missed the LA nights, man. Whew. Who's gonna score the first touchdown in preseason?
Hermes, that's his name. The running back, the big guy.
Marcus Mariota.
Oh, wow.
He gonna run it in. No one's really talking about Marcus. What do you think about him? Do you think? I know I don't want to see him all year long, but in the preseason he might do some damage.
I don't want to see him at all, but I think he's capable. He's a capable backup.
Nice.
And somebody that is more equipped to run the same type of offense that Jalen runs, as opposed to Minshew, where you know that was like night and day. Like Minshew can't do what Jalen does. And then I think a big mistake last year was they wanted him to run the same offense that Jalen ran, and he can't do that. He's not built like that. Well, with Marcus Mariota, I don't think he's as good a runner as Jalen Hurts, but he still at least have option. He's more mobile than Gardner Minshew. So we don't have to change the playbook so much when he comes in. So I think he'll be a solid backup. I don't want to see him at all. I hope Jalen doesn't get hurt. He just stays healthy, and we don't have to see if he could do it or not. But if he had to, I like him a little bit better than I like.
Preseason superstar.
Yeah,
from all the snaps you're gonna get in the preseason, be a preseason superstar. I do want Jalen to go through a full year without getting hurt. That's to me, that's the next step for Jalen Hurts.
There you go. It's like 66 and all that. Oh, it's 66 here. What I'm talking about.
What? It's 66 degrees here?
Yeah, that's warm. That's not warm, is it?
That's good. Not bad.
At nighttime? Yeah.
At nighttime, I like a cool breeze.
All right, we gotta get out of here. We've been on here 3 hours.
Yeah, we've been on 3 hours. Hey, salute to all you guys. We still got a bunch of y'all in here. You know, we got 26 of us still in here. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe. Eagles Talk on Facebook. Check out the Facebook group. Also, BIRDGANG 31, BGN Sports Media. We got BIRDGANG Nation Sports Live on Facebook as well. And we're on all the platforms. So follow us on all platforms. Support your fellow Eagle brethren. And yeah, man, like I said at the end of my videos, fly, Eagles, fly. Till next time, this BG, Dark Knight. We out.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, y'all.
Peace.
Oh, yeah. And if y'all got 2 peanut butter jam sandwiches and a glass of milk, y'all can get Quez Watkins. Okay. I'll see y'all later.
Oh, man. You have to do that with Quez. Yeah.
How is everybody doing today? Welcome to another show of State of the Eagles with your boy BG31 and the